Alicia. Appreciate everybody pulling up, man. How's everybody doing on this wonderful Sunday? We are 4 days away from the NFL draft, and we get to find out who will be selected for the Las Vegas Raiders first overall. We already know who it's going to be. There could be some surprises, but damn, it would be a huge surprise if it wasn't Mendoza, right? Well, let's not talk about that, man. We all know the draft starts at 36. What are the Raiders going to do? What would you like them to do? We got some, questions for y'all. Shout out to everybody in the building with my glasses so I could read. You need glasses to read. Mendoza Mania, let's go. Jack Yates. All season of all time. So excited about this year. Well, let's not get too excited, man. We still got a lot of work to do, right? There's there's a lot of work to do. You got to get Mendoza in the building first. You got to find out, right, who he's throwing the ball to, who's protecting him, how this coaching staff gels together, what the offseason looks like. Man, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions. So I'm with it 100% on my way to the lake. Nice. You got a boat? You going out boating? You just going to sit by the lake? Shout out to you. But yeah, man, we all know the draft. Like I said, starts at 36. What will the Raiders do? Will they trade back? Will they sit and pick best player available? We heard John Spytek say, right? It's always best player available. That is the number one rule that he stands by, best player available. And last year, they decided to trade back with a whole bunch of best player availables, to get a guy like Jack Besh who didn't get a lot of burn last year. And a lot of people like myself have, this guy having a breakout year. I think in Kubiak's system, he can be that guy to stretch the field. He could be that guy to, be that X one on one. And I think Jack Besh is going to have a good year. But other than that, we have some news. Some news of the draft, right? What's going on with the draft news? Well, a lot of people have Zachariah Branch going in the second round to the Las Vegas Raiders. That remains to be seen, right? There was a little incident with him not getting off the sidewalk for a police officer. It seems to be just absolutely stupid. I'll read the information here in a minute if y'all would like. But it just seems absolutely dumb to me that you are 4 days away from the draft and you're out at 1:30 in the morning on a sidewalk. Just listen to the officer for one. Like, I mean, he just wants you. I don't know. I don't know. But we'll read the report here in a second. But let me know how y'all feel. If you're 4 days away from making millions of dollars and living out your NFL dream, wouldn't you just stay in the damn house? I mean, honestly, why go outside? just stay indoors. You can have food delivered to you. You don't even have to go to the grocery store. You can have somebody cook for you. I mean, they'll bring you Uber Eats. There's no reason to go outside 4 days away from, or I guess 5 days away, because round two will be on Saturday, on Friday. But you know what I'm getting at, right? There's no reason. It's just absolutely stupidity on his part. Whether he was in the wrong, whether he was in the right, it doesn't make no sense to just not do what you're told, bro. Let's get into the article real quick, and then get y'all's opinion, right? So I'm just not up here talking nonsense. What the article states. Okay, I guess I gotta find it first. Thought I had it pulled up. All right, so Tom Palacero reports the NFL has obtained the police report on the misdemeanor charge against Zachariah Branch, who was arrested while standing on a public sidewalk. Come on, yo. He was arrested standing on a damn public sidewalk. You have a $39 bond. I've never even heard of a $39 bond. I've been arrested enough times to know a $39 bond is absolutely ridiculous, and I've never even had one even close to that. So, yeah, just stupid. Anyways, Arrested while standing on a public sidewalk for not moving far enough when the police officer asked him to move. A male, later identified as Zachariah Branch, continued to stand on the sidewalk without making an attempt to move. I continued to give Zachariah Branch verbal commands to move from blocking the sidewalk and advised that if he didn't, he would receive a citation for blocking the sidewalk. This is stupid, bro. This is absolutely dumb. Shout out to Jack Gustafa, Jay Gates, all Jason Ruiz, all of y'all with the JJJs. Appreciate you. Somebody, I got a mod in here. Can somebody get rid of this clown, please? Never mind, I'll do it myself. Remove. Done. All right, so committed to give Zachary blah 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 verbal branch. He would receive a citation for blocking the sidewalk. Zachariah Branch smirked and stepped backwards and to the right, then remained standing on the public sidewalk so as to obstruct and hinder. I got to stop looking up because I just lost my spot again. This is very small writing, and I cannot see very good. To hinder and impede free passage upon the sidewalk, as well as to impede free ingress, egress to or from the adjacent place of business. Due to those actions and Zachariah Branch's failure to comply with multiple verbal lawful commands, he was placed under arrest for a misdemeanor obstruction of LEO and received a citation for obstruction public sidewalk. Now, I know it's just two misdemeanors, right? And it's not a big deal. But to some teams, that is a big deal, right? The fact that you couldn't just listen, the fact that you had to have a confrontation with the officer, the fact that you were, told over and over again, it just leaves questions, right? And we know Spytek, number one, every time he's asked about what kind of players are you looking for in the draft? Football players, guys that love ball, guys that are smart, that are intelligent, that do not do stupid things off the field to hurt their teams, right? This is a stupid, stupid thing off the field to hurt your team. And it just makes no sense to me. How about them Lakers yesterday? Yes, huge, huge win for the Lakers. A game where LeBron didn't have to do a lot, right? 17 points, 12 assists, got the team involved. Shout out to the Lakers. That's a big win. At home, puts us up 1-0. We could stretch these games as long as possible and get some of our firepower back. It would be nice. It would be nice. Why are the Raiders always sucking year after year? I don't know, man, but I'm hoping that changes. Grim Reaper, what's good, man? So that is the report of Zachariah Branch. Like I said, just a misdemeanor, but it's just the fact that that you have to be arguing. Just move off the damn sidewalk. I don't know what the point of not being on the sidewalk was. From what I read the first time, it was an incident at 1:30 in the morning. I don't know if that is correct. That's just what I read. But how do y'all feel about that? How do y'all feel about that? Is it stupid? Is it dumb? Let me know. Let me know. To me, like I said, I just it's just nonsense, bro. There's no reason for it. You're about to have the biggest day of your life and you just making stupid mistakes and will he fall? Probably not. Some team will take him just because, they're like, okay, a lot of teams are going to pass on this guy because of this stupid incident. We're going to take him at a better spot, and get better value for it. So, shout out to that. What else we got in the news? The Dexter Lawrence trade, man. How do y'all feel about the Bengals trading the 10th overall pick with no compensation, no second round, no third round, not even a fourth, from what I'm hearing, just the 10th overall pick for a 28-year-old Dexter Lawrence who had one of his worst years in football last year. How do you explain this? How do you explain how? I hope so too, bro. Suck as a great nation of fans. Yes, they are ready for the draft. Yeah, I'm ready, man. I'm ready. Definitely ready. I like when my team takes the sports ball, um, takes the sports ball to the other team. um, yeah, man. I ain't dealing with clowns today. You gotta go too. Um, so yeah, let's talk about 36, right? Let's talk about 36. Um, Question of the day, and this is the topic, right? If you're John Spite, or if you're a Raiders fan, and I hope the people that are in here, at least half of them are. Shit, I don't know what's up with my hair today. Um, let's get long and he cut the shit. But if you're a Raiders fan, would you be okay with the Raiders trading up in this draft and grabbing a player that they have their eye on, whether it be, you know, and who would it be? Raf in the building. What's good? Raf in the mofo building. What's good, my brother? Are you ready for the draft? Who you got in the second round? Trading up for what? LOL. Well, that's a damn good question, Brandon. A damn good question. An offensive lineman, right? We know how Spytek loves those offensive linemen. We know how he loves his pick. But if there's a chance that all these offensive tackles go in the first round and one is sitting there at, say, 25 or even in the 20s, do you package a deal to try to move up and grab a guy like Maxi Anacor? From what I'm hearing, they really like Max. And there's a big, big, big chance that he doesn't make it to the second round. I mean, if he does make it to the second round, then that's a steal for us, and we're definitely moving up to 33. I can see that instantly. That's not even a question. But I'm saying, if they have their eye on somebody, and maybe it's maybe it's Omar Cooper. Maybe they've had talks with Fernando Mendoza, and you know, said, who do you want, Elijah Surratt or Omar Cooper? I don't know. I don't know, right? This is just talk and speculation. But there are some guys. Maybe if a Christian Miller, if they think that's their guy as a defensive tackle, do you move up and grab him in the first round? Or do you take a chance of, your guy not being there in the second and trading back? I mean, there's a lot of scenarios. But from what I'm hearing, the Raiders are very interested in trading up if a certain player is there. Now, that certain player has not been named. So that's why I'm getting at and asking these questions. Is there anybody in the first round who you feel, if he's there, you have to go up and get him, right? Now, looking at PFF's big board, they have, what the hell is this? They have Arvell Reese at number 2, Jeremiah Love at number 3, Sonny Styles, Ruben Bain, David Bailey, Francis Magoa, Maui Noah, that's the damn right name, Caleb Downs, Mensor Delane, blah, 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 blah. But here we go. So, guys like Max Ian Archer could definitely be there somewhere 25, 26. They have him going, somewhere in the 30s. I see a lot of boards where he doesn't make it past the New England Patriots. I see boards where he doesn't make it past the Houston Texans, which are up there at what, 24, 25, right? There's been a lot of movement. Dexter Lawrence traded for a 10th overall pick. The Cowboys now have, the Giants, the Cowboys also have 2 first overall picks. The Giants now have 2 first overall picks. Very, very high overall picks. 10 and 5, I do believe. Where do they go, right? How much does that change this draft? Is there somebody that they have an eye on, like a Caleb Downs at 10? Do they go Sonny Styles at 10? Do you take Sonny Styles at 5? Caleb Downs at 5? Like, where do they go in this draft? they've had an interview, right? Oh my God, this is driving me nuts. So they had an interview. Shane Scowen, the Giants GM, was in Arizona, met with Jordan Tyson. The next day, they trade away Dexter Lawrence for a 10th overall pick. Is Jordan Tyson the guy, right? Does he go earlier than a lot of teams? You know, some people had him in the 20s, some people have him in the top 10, in the 15s, right? A lot of people's boards are different. Um, do you think the Cowboys trade Pickens? I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. Touch grass. As long as they take Mendoza, I'll be okay with them trading up. So that's what I'm getting at. Like, would you be okay if there was somebody that the Raiders had, right? Because we all know how the draft works. Everybody has their boards, right? You have your top 25, then you have, you know, your other 25. I'm sure they have a board with somewhere of 140 players, you know, 100 players or more on their board. I would, you know, suggest they have grades: first round, first round, first round, second round grade, third round grade, right, on all these players. Now, if there's somebody that they have a very high first round grade on, like, you know, an Akeem Mesidor, an Omar Cooper, a Blake Miller, you know, Caden Proctor. I mean, dude, there's a lot of guys that we don't know how the Raiders are feeling, right? We know what their top 30 is, and we'll get into that. I think it's only at 24 so far, from the last time I looked. But we know what the Raiders have looked at, right? It's been receiver, 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 receiver. We also know out of last year's draft, they brought in a lot of guys that were interviewed afterwards that said, you know, they were mainly asked about their teammates, right? How was it playing with this guy? Just to bring it up, right? You know, you're acting like you're interviewing a guy, but then later on, you're like, you know, so you also played with this kid. How was this guy in the locker room, right? How was he on the field? How's he to play with, right? Get other player perspective of the player you're trying to draft. We see that happen all the time. So, are the Raiders being sneaky and bringing in all these wide receivers because they already know which round they're taking one? And a lot of people are thinking, you know, they're going to take wide receiver at 2, or most people think it's going to be defensive tackle in a very, very, very mild defensive tackle class to me. I mean, there's maybe 2 guys. If Caleb Banks didn't have the foot injury, he would possibly, more than likely, be a first round pick. But other than that, I mean, Caden McDonald at Ohio State, Peter Woods, you know, Christian Miller, some of those guys are projected, you know, not in the top, not in the top 32. So definitely, there's a scenario where a Christian Miller or a Caden McDonald, you know, could definitely fall to the Raiders. Caleb Banks definitely probably going to fall out of the first round to the Raiders. Do you take a defensive tackle there, or do you try to get one in these later rounds? And if there is a guy that's high on their board that they feel like, man, this is a first round pick, maybe we could give up a pick, you know, some picks next year, a first next year, and try to get back up into the first round and take a guy. I don't know how they feel about guys. You know, I've heard a couple things. They're very high on a couple guys, right? They like Denzel Boston. They like Max Ian Achor. But there's, to me, a lot of top 30 visits on this list where I'm just like, man, do these guys even really fit what the Raiders are trying to do, right? And are you going to bring in top 30 visits to, you know, to take in the fourth round, the third back of the third round, right? I don't feel like you're bringing in top 30 visits, you know, for later round guys. You're trying to get these guys best available. Who's going to be, you know, available? You know damn well their draft boards. They know every single team, who they want, who their needs are, right? Who they're going after. That's mainly a lot of these scouts' job, is to figure out, you know, who are the main guys that these guys are going after, and who will be on our board that we can take. So I feel like if there's a guy like, I feel the only one, if there's some crazy run where a Monroe Freeling falls, farther down the board, and they feel like, man, we can have Monroe Freeling sit a year behind Colton Miller, and then maybe move Charles Grant over to the right side this year and see how it works. I don't know. There's a lot of scenarios, but I do know one thing: the Raiders wanted another pick in this draft in the first round, or they wouldn't have traded Max Crosby to try to get that 14th pick. And I feel like, from what I've heard, from what I've seen, from what I've been following, what I've been trying to, find out is the Raiders have somebody in mind in that first round other than Mendoza that they want. And I think they want a lot, right? So what are they willing to do? And who is that guy? I believe, like I said, it's Max Iannacor. I feel like that is the guy they are looking at. All the upside, plays right tackle, right? You're looking at the future, him and Charles Grant as your bookends. It makes a lot of sense. But what are they willing to give up? What will it cost them? Right? We've heard Spytek say they could walk out of this draft with only 4 picks. Maybe that's the case. Maybe they decide, hey, look, we need these 4 guys, and we'll just take a bunch of UDFAs and see if they, in camp, and see which ones stick. But if we get these 4 main guys that are high on our board, we can roll into the season with this and feel comfortable, right? And there's that too. And then you have the scenario, right? So let me know in the comments. Would you be okay if the Raiders decided to give away a first round pick in next year's draft that's supposed to be, highly stacked? Seattle will want to trade down from 32. Yep, Seattle will want to trade out of 32. I'm here in Miami, is definitely open to trading at a pick 30, and I wouldn't be surprised, if they try to trade up into the draft or back into the draft and get more picks for Miami. From what I'm hearing and what's going around, is there's a lot of teams that want to trade out of the first round. And the reason is, a lot of this talent that's in the first round in any other draft would be second round picks, third round picks. And then the talent in the second and third round in this draft, in other drafts, if they're third round, they could be second rounds, right? There's a lot of talent that's being pushed down, I think, and under evaluated in this draft. The receiving core, for one, the safeties. I mean, there's a lot of safeties, there's a lot of corners in this draft. But the main thing everybody seems to think the Raiders need, defensive tackle, is not deep. Quarterback is not deep, right? It just so happens that the Raiders are picking very highly in every single round, and the biggest needs, it's not a deep class. So what do you do in that scenario, right? You take best player available. And according to this, that best player available could be anywhere from, let's see, we'll start at 25. At 25 on here, it could be a Blake Miller. If a Blake Miller falls to 25, I wouldn't be mad if they moved up to get, a guy they feel could be that starter day one and take that right tackle spot. You got guys like Cassius Howe, right? A guy I've been, if you watched any college football with me last year and Texas A&M was playing, especially against my Razorbacks, I was saying, take Cassius Howe, man. I don't care if it's the first round, the second round. You need this kid on your team, right? This young man is a beast. He's got that fire. You see him over there pointing at dudes, right, across from him, talking shit, running his mouth. That's the dude that reminds me of a Raider. Cassius Howe is that dog. I don't care about his, 30-inch arms or 31-inch arms, whatever they are. He's a monster. He's a monster. And if this dude was to fall to the second round, how could you not move up from 36 to 33 to just grab him? I mean, that cost couldn't be a lot, right? Maybe a fourth or a fifth. We have three or four fourth round picks. I mean, Cassius Howe would be a dude I would definitely look at. Right? His motor is nonstop. It fits Max Crosby to a T. These two dudes, one on each side, would be absolutely insane. And I feel like if a guy like Cassius Howe, does slip into the second round, where I've seen a lot of draft boards where he does, I think that would be a huge steal. Now, if he's sitting there at 26 and the Raiders have him as, one of their top guys, do you move up and get a guy like that? Caden Proctor, the Alabama tackle, right? He's projected on this 27. So anywhere in the, 20s to the second round, Caden Proctor could be available. I don't think that's the case. I really feel like teams like the Giants could possibly take a chance on him and surprise everybody at 5. I feel like the Cleveland Browns, who lost every offensive lineman in free agency last year, I feel like the Cleveland Browns could take a guy like Caden Proctor. I mean, when you look at his size, I think he played at 380 or 90 pounds last year at some points. He's down to 360. This is an immovable object. And if you get an immovable object, with that young, has played that many snaps at that age, I mean, the upside is there, right? You get him in an NFL weight room playing, like he's gonna lose weight, right? Especially if you get him in Vegas and the nutrition plans they got in the building. But that's, for some people it's a project. For some people, they're looking at his talent and going, man, I can't let this dude pass me by no matter what pick I'm at. So Caden Proctor is one of those dudes that, he could be your guy for many moons, right? 10, 12, 15 years. But you have to get your weight down to be able to play for that long in the NFL. And I think that's what teams are worried about. And then a guy like TJ Parker, right? Edge out of Clemson. Another guy that is just an absolute monster. He has 549 snaps, 6'3", 260 pounds, 21 and a half year old junior that some had in the second round. A lot of people had him going very high in the first round. Now he's kind of settled down somewhere between 25 and 32. I don't see a guy like TJ Parker making it out of the first round. I'd be highly surprised if he did. But another name, right? And then you got, like I said, Max Ienakor. Only 5 years experience, a guy that has a basketball background, so you know his athleticism, you know his size, right? Strong hands, 6'6", 330 pounds, 24 years old. Was a redshirt senior. He's played 860 snaps, right, in college football. And a lot of people are scared about, the experience. But man, the way he's played against top guys in the SEC, who did they play? I'm trying to think of who the hell he went up against. Anyways, it'll come to me. But a guy like Denzel Boston, right? 6'4", 209, 22 years old. Just smooth, right? Just smooth on his route running, has big hands, long arms, can win in the contested catch. The Raiders have a whole bunch of fast receivers, right? We have a shoal of guys that run into 4.3s and low 4.4s right now on our receiving core. Just the perfect fit. Where do you take a Denzel Boston, right? Are the Raiders high enough on him where if he's sitting at, 30 or 31, do you give up a pick, or two and jump up and get a guy like that? Caleb Banks, Peter Woods, Colton Hood, Casey Concepcion, Emmanuel Pregon. A lot of talk about the Raiders are excited to see what they have in their offensive line. They're probably not willing to just go out and get an offensive, guy this high in the draft. If they do, I feel like it's probably going to be fourth round where they have a bunch of picks. But I would be surprised if they take an offensive lineman, just me, in the first round or in the second round, unless it's a guy they feel like they can't miss and they move up in the first round to get. That's just my opinion. But Christian Miller, defensive tackle, right? 6'4", 310 pounds. Has rare twitch for an interior defender. Reliable. Could develop into that guy, right? Caleb Lamo, another guy who was projected to go in the top 15 in many, many drafts all throughout the year, right? Now all of a sudden, he's a guy that's fallen on draft boards. They have him at 38 on here. I mean, Caleb Lamo, I have problems with his weight. That's my thing, right? 6'6", 308. You're not bulked up. Um, but 823 snaps, can play both sides of the ball. Athletic, right? I think he would fit in that Kubiak, wide zone scheme perfectly, in my opinion. Lee Hunter, a lot of people seem to, like Lee Hunter, 6'4", 330. He's on my do not draft list. We'll get into that tomorrow. Um, but he's definitely a guy that's on my do not draft list. Not in the second round for me, anyways. Zion Young is a guy that I have in the first round, going in the first round. Now, if he falls to the second round, that's a guy out of Missouri that you can't pass up on. 6'5", 262, 569 snaps, ranked 42 out of 872 edge rushers. Definitely has that motor like a Max Crosby. Zion was to fall to 36. I wouldn't trade back or trade up. I would stay there and pick. And then you got guys like D'Angelo Pons. Um, there's a lot of talk of Colton Hood now sliding up into the first round. So let me know, man. Would y'all be happy if the Raiders gave up a first round pick next year in a very stacked draft to move up and get talent this year? What do we got? Do you think the Cowboys trade Pickens? I already got that. Raiders should trade for Burrow. What? And ditch the whole Mendoza narrative. Who's with me? I don't think so, man. I don't think so. Joe Burrow has been hurt the last 2 years. He's a guy that made it to a Super Bowl in his second year because the team was, he's a great quarterback in my opinion. But lately he's been an if quarterback. If everything goes well, Joe Burrow's the shit. Now I know 2 years ago he threw for what 5,000 yards, and was hurt, and I think so. Yeah, Joe Burrow's the guy, bro. But I'm not giving up a first round pick for a Joe Burrow because they're probably going to want something else with it. And to me, that just does not make sense. The Raiders obviously feel Mendoza is the guy. And if you feel Mendoza is the guy, you just rock with Mendoza. Are there any good tight ends in this draft? It depends on what you want. Are you looking for you know, that Travis Kelsey, a guy that can block, a guy that can block in the run game, that can get open, but he's not a burner, not a great route runner. He's just a very smart football player and strong as hell. Or do you want that Brock Bowers type guy that can stretch the field, that can do anything, that can play from any position? Yeah, man. Sullivan was good, my guy. Yeah, there's talent in this draft at tight end. First round talent. I mean, that's one of those positions that doesn't really get valued as much, right? It's kind of like the safeties, the linebackers, tight ends, all running backs, all positions teams really don't take in the first round unless there's that guy that just wows you. So I like Ian Stower. I like Kenyon Sadiq. Um, I like that kid Jolly. I think he's a guy that definitely can provide a team with some help at a tight end if you're running 12 personnel or 13 personnel. It just depends where you take him. We need to either trade for Burrow, or draft Fernando or trade for Pickens. This team needs to do better. I'm not in for trading for George Pickens, man. I feel like George Pickens is a guy that got benched when the Cowboys played the Raiders because they were out partying, in Vegas at the clubs. Him and, Diggs, that's at least what the rumors were. I don't know if that's a guy you bring to Vegas, right? And if you look at Pickens, you know, career, he has those up games, down games, up games, down games. Yes, he busted out in Dallas. He was great in Dallas. He wants to be there. They want him there. I don't know why they would trade him. It just makes no sense to franchise a guy and then trade him unless they feel they can get another, first round pick in this draft. It just doesn't make sense to trade Pickens. You have him on a decent deal for the player he is. I think you got him on a steal. Just keep him. I wouldn't take him. I grew up in L.A. or Oakland. What? Oh, I grew up in L.A. Pick one, bro. You can't support both teams. What? What you mean? I could support the Lakers and the Raiders. I don't know what you mean, bro. Them not second rounders. Who's not second rounders? Who's not second rounders? Um, the Raiders suck and you swallow. Oh, the Raiders need a competent coach. Do we not have one? Do we not have one? They went and got the best offensive coordinator, since Ben Johnson. Um, Ben Johnson came in and turned the Bears around with a snap of the finger, just like he walked in the building and said, "This is what we're gonna do." Kubiak's a little bit more quieter. He goes about it a different way. But everybody you hear talk about Clint Kubiak, he says the same. They all say the same thing, bro. He's a great mind. He's a genius. He's gonna get the ship afloat, which has been sinking for a long time. And I'm very confident in the coaching staff we have. We need George Pickens and Fernando. I think Fernando will be fine. Raider Paul. Raiders. You are from Japan? Shout out to Japan. Nice. Thanks for pulling up. Are you a Raiders fan? Let me know. Um, Gojo? Let me know, Gojo. Cooper Jr. second round. Ah, come on, man. Come on. He's a first round pick, bro. He's a first round pick. He's a Steve Smith all day long. Now, he might not have an attitude, but to me, he reminds me of Steve Smith. He's a guy that can win on the outside. He can win on the inside. He's a damn good football player. He's smart. He's knowledgeable. He don't go down, the point of attack. Shout out for the CA 99. I appreciate you, Brainly, Brainly. But yeah, man, Omar Cooper Jr. is a first round pick, not first overall. He's a first round pick. He's definitely the top three. I got him, top two in this draft. Some people top five. So he doesn't get past the Rams. I'd be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised if the Titans take him just to have a receiver for Cam Ward to throw the ball to. I mean, it would make sense to me. But nah, Omar Cooper's he's not getting to the second round. The Raiders definitely have to trade up to get that young man for sure. Did Crosby actually go to the Bears? Um, he might have visited there. He's a big Caleb Williams fan, but no, I don't think so. Vikings fans here. You liking the Kirk Cousins fit in the new offense? Um, Honestly, I'm glad you brought that up. I don't. Oh, what's up, Rhea Ripley? Um, Glad you brought that up, though. I don't even know if Kirk Cousins plays. Right? I don't know if Kirk Cousins at 38 years old is better than Aiden O'Connell. I don't know if Kirk Cousins is better than Fernando Mendoza. And there's a lot of people that are, upset with the Raiders taking Fernando Mendoza because he's not flashy, right? He doesn't have, doesn't rock chains or whatever, right? Doesn't have, diamond teeth, right? He's not that dude. He's just quiet, goes about himself. He's humble. And a lot of people are thinking he doesn't have no special traits, but this man has a lot of special traits. And there's a lot of talk and rumors going around the draft that Fernando Mendoza is picking up the West Coast offense at a rapid pace, right? The young man intelligence is there. His footwork is there. We all know about his timing and his accuracy. And if he picks it up fast enough to go into camp, knowing what he's doing, I just don't see a scenario where he doesn't beat out Kirk Cousins. Now, you have the Brady effect. Brady believes everybody should, sit for a year and learn and develop in an NFL system, right? With a good, guy like Kirk Cousins, an NFL vet that can show him the ropes, that can show him how to practice, how to read film, right? All those good things. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kirk Cousins is holding a clipboard, watching Mendoza or Aiden O'Connell play. I mean, let's not sleep on Aiden O'Connell either. So I don't know about the Kirk Cousins thing. I think it was just brought in to be that mentor. He said it himself. He told Coach Kubiak that he doesn't want to play. He doesn't want to start if he's not better than the other quarterbacks. And I just don't see a scenario where, yeah, maybe your mind is, ahead of some of these other guys, but Aiden O'Connell's going in his fourth year. He's seen every look you can, throw at him on defense. And I think it's going to be a battle. I hope it's going to be a battle. So Kirk Cousins was definitely good to have in the building. The price they got him at is an absolute steal. And I don't see how it could be a bad thing, right? Um, Brother, TB12 going to trade out and save the organization. I'm, man, I will lose my mind if he does. I will be ecstatic, and that's the best thing they could do. I mean, the writing's on the wall, but you got to have a trade partner. And maybe Tom Brady can, windle his way up in there, swindle his way up in there, and sweet talk one of these GMs to making the biggest mistake of their life and giving up, a boatload for Fernando Mendoza. But I've said this a million times. If Raider fans don't believe and the Raiders don't believe that Fernando is worth the number one overall pick and they're calling teams to trade back, teams are going to be like, bro, we ain't giving you what you think you're going to get. Because if you don't feel like he's the guy, why would we feel like he's the guy and give up, golden assets next year's draft in a draft that's supposed to be, some say maybe the best draft in the history of the NFL, which would be crazy. Why would you give up those draft picks from a team that doesn't believe, that they have the guy sitting in the building? But I will say this, hot take. I'm just kidding. If John Spytek, if John Spytek can manage a way to trade the first overall pick and come away with another first round this year, a second round this year, and a first next year, I'm all for it. That's all I would be sold with two first round picks and a second this year. Because you can take that second this year with the second we have, but are there enough players in this draft that they have their eye on? How many players in this draft are on their big board that they have first round grades on? Because like I've said, I've talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people don't have 32 players with first round grades in this draft. It's somewhere between, 15 and 20. So, if that's the case, I don't see anybody throwing, some historical draft trade at the Raiders to take Fernando Mendoza first overall, even as much as he's been hyped up. And he's been hyped up a lot, right? For a guy that was uh, a two-star recruit coming out of high school into college, a guy that wasn't even in anybody's draft boards higher than a third round last year, right? There's questions. There's questions. But the way he picked up Indiana's system, the way he continuously got better and helped carry that team to a championship, and the way he's supposedly picking up the Raiders system, I just don't see how they pass on him. I really don't. Unless, unless Tom Brady has his eye on somebody next year, which I've been saying, like a CJ Carr, right? We've heard him talk about CJ Carr. We know the relationship between CJ Carr's grandfather and Tom Brady. That could be a scenario too, right? They could shock the world. And we'll see, man. We'll see. But it would definitely be huge. But like I said, if Spytek and the Raiders can find a way to get a haul for Fernando Mendoza, dude, I'm not mad at that. I'm all for it. It's the best way to go anyway. Go Spurs. We talking. Let's go Wimby. No, no, no Spurs, bro. It's Lakers all day. The beach is beautiful. I thought you were at a lake. Rebel likes them clown colors, black and silver all day. Bro, you know I'll rock nothing but black and silver unless my Lakers are in the playoffs. He might. Everyone has other wide receivers showing up in the first round. Like what other receivers? What other receivers showing up in the first round? KC Concepcion's the only one I know about moving up in there. I don't see anybody else. Like Antonio Williams, has injury questions, but the dude is a freak. I would take him all day. Come on, Mendoza. Bet his ass. What? Oh, bet your ass he's the future. I hope so, man. I hope so. AOC is history. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. I'm gonna say this, right? I've heard every Raider content creator say for the last 4 years that Aiden O'Connell was done. He's gone. There's no way Aiden O'Connell survives this roster. There's no way he fits Pete Carroll's system. There's no way he fits AP. There's no way he's going to fit Clint Kubiak. But actually, he made it through all the other rosters, right? Was drafted by Josh McDaniels, became the starter, then got benched, then McDaniels got fired, then he became the starter, and all he did was go 5-4 as a rookie. Got benched again, played better than Mendoza. We all know what happens, but I've heard every content creator, everyone say, "Oh, AOC's done. AOC's done. His time is done." Come on, man. You guys have been wrong year in and year out, right? I don't see AOC going anywhere unless somebody offers some crazy, a fourth round pick that we drafted for him, which you never know in the NFL. But I don't see this kid going anywhere, dude. I really, really don't. Like, if there's any roster that he fits more than any other roster, our system, it's Clint Kubiak. It's Clint Kubiak all day. He likes guys that can stand in the pocket. He's gonna run the ball 50% of the time or more, right? So I think it's hilarious that, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does get traded, but I'm gonna laugh my ass off if he makes his team again because everybody every year has said, "Oh, bye bye AOC, bye bye AOC," but he's like a cockroach, bro. You can't kill him, right? You can hurt him. He comes back, tries to play injured. He's gonna be around. Rosetown in the building. What's good? He was brought in for a quarterback battle. Doesn't mean he's starting, right? Mendoza bet his ass out. Pause, bro. Beat his ass out. Wait, time out. uh, Trade AOC for a third, bro. If you can get a third round pick for AOC, trade him instantly, all day long, all day long. There's no quarterback coming out next year. Hell no. What do you mean there's no quarterback coming out? There's 15 that are projected to go in the first round. And there's also another probably 10 or 15 that transferred to teams that could be thrown into that mix by the time it's all said and done as well. Wouldn't want Jared Goff type. You can play and win big games. Goff can't. For Mendoza, 100% facts, man. Mendoza, we all see what he can do in the big games. I hear about, one read, two reads, and I've said this before, that whatever he was asked to do, he did pretty flawless, right? Pretty flawless, almost perfect. So if he can do that and pick up that and run that perfect and almost flawless, right? Run the RPO in a pistol from shotgun. Come on, man. Like, I don't see this kid having any problems. No one will give us capital to move out of the first. Jets are building, etc. Right? I know that. No, I mean, there's nobody wants to give up 3 first round picks for a quarterback when you're looking at next year's class and salivating, going, wiping the drool off your face, going, man, we could be mid and still end up with a first round quarterback next year. Right? Nobody's giving up those picks. Nobody's giving up those picks. In fact, people are trying to trade back out of the top 10 to stockpile picks for next year, but nobody's willing to give them up. So Yeah, I just don't see a scenario where anybody. Now, I know Spytek has said he's taking phone calls, right? And those teams know where they stand. And I think that says it all, right? They know where they stand. You're going to have to do something stupid, or he's the pick. We all know they doubted Brady. Everyone passed him up. Come on, let's not be stupid. Okay, but to that point, we all know Tom Brady's mentality thinks that because he was drafted in the sixth round and won 7 Super Bowls, that he can find a guy to do that. He tried to do that with Cam Miller. He tried to do that with the other cat that he tried to make a wide receiver, right? We know Brady's mentality doesn't believe in drafting guys first overall or in the first round at all. He said it before. You don't take guys in the first round, right? There's enough quarterbacks that you can take in any round, and you can, mentor those guys and develop them into being a quarterback that he wants them to be. So if you're listening to what Tom Brady says, right? And yeah, they doubted Tom Brady. Look at his size, look at his arm length. But Tom Brady has mentioned many, many times that, you know, taking a quarterback in the first round is not what he wants to do, right? And taking one first overall. So there, you got a lot of people in the building that have to somehow convince the biggest influence in Raiders history in the building, not named Al Davis, to take a quarterback first overall and they can develop him. So I wouldn't be surprised, man. I would not be surprised if Tom Brady somehow gets his way, right? We haven't heard Spytek or anybody say Mendoza's the guy. We're doing our homework. We're doing our homework, right? That's all they say. When asked about the quarterback situation, he said, "Oh, Kirk Cousins, is great, and he'll be a great mentor for Aiden O'Connell and whoever comes in." Right? So nobody's ever said it. Mendoza's never said it. They ask him all the time, how are you feeling about being the number one pick to Vegas? Oh, I'm good with whoever picks me, right? So we don't know, man. We don't know. I do know one thing. John Spytek is a sneaky ass dude. John Spytek has a great poker face, right? He did it last year with the Ashton Genty thing, bringing his son into the mix. Had everybody think that we were going to take an offensive lineman because his son wanted the running back, right? And had everybody fooled days before the draft, where everybody started changing their drafts, going, Ashton Genty's not going to be the pick. But I was like, come on, man. Ashton Genty's going to be the pick. So Spytek knows how to play his cards. He knows how to play this game. He showed it last year, right? They traded back. They got more picks. They got good talent out of that draft that just didn't get on the field last year. So I like Spytek a lot, man. And I think if anybody's sneaky and could shock anybody, it's Spytek. It's Spytek. So I wouldn't put that past him at all. Wanted Lemon at pick 14. I don't think Lemon was ever on the Raiders board. To be honestly, the birdie that I heard in my ear said that was never even a thought in their mind, which I don't know why. I mean, I don't know why. Besides him, that's deeper either way, if he comes out or not. AOC is the underdog that battles for the starting spot every year. Actually, he should have been battling every year. There was no battle last year. Gino got paid $71 million. He was picked up and set right into the starting position spot. We all watched the practices. Some of us were at the practices live when the Raiders held a practice at Allegiant Stadium. Gino looked like ass. He looked like ass all year. All we heard was interception, 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 all through camp, right? The defense, 3 interceptions today. The defense, 5 interceptions today. He was the starter because Pete Carroll has an infatuation with Geno Smith. It's why he was brought in. It's why he was paid the ridiculous amount of money he was not worth. And they did the same thing with Gardner Minshew. There's never been really a competition. And I feel like if there's ever a year where there could actually be a competition and may the best man win, like Spytek says all the time, it's this year. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I just want the best quarterback playing and giving us the best chance to win, man. Sorry, I'm watching WrestleMania. That's me, right? I don't care if it's Aiden O'Connell. I don't care if they go back and sign Carter Bradley and bring in Carter Bradley to be the damn quarterback. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as long as we have a system in place and we can actually win some damn football games. My hair getting all curly and shit. Is it me or have I been seeing a lot of people wearing Raiders gear lately? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe all the bandwagon Raider fans are coming back out of the closet because they think we have a quarterback in the building. Raiders need a shirt called "Next Year, Always Next Year." Fuck what they doing now. Spytech F up last year, getting Carroll and Gino. He ain't effing it up again, right? Yeah. Hopefully he learned from his mistakes. Hopefully he learned from his mistakes. But if you look at the scenario, it has to feel like the scenario from last year. Pete Carroll came in, he brought in his guy that knew his system, that knew what he wanted, what he was expected to do. Then you have Clint Kubiak that comes in this year, says, I'd love to have a veteran quarterback to teach the rookie if we do decide to draft a rookie. Not that we're drafting a rookie, but if we do, it would be nice to have a veteran. And then he goes and gets a guy that's 38 years old. You know, they're not paying him a ridiculous amount of money, but the contract long term wise is absolutely stupid. $40 million a season. Come on, ridiculous. If they keep him, so it kind of feels to the same scenario to me. You have a coach that comes in that brings in his quarterback, and that's going to be the starter. I mean, it's simple. It's simple. Nobody wants, Spytech, Tom Brady. They don't want the young man to start, whether he's the best quarterback, whether he's ready to start. They want him to sit, whether it's going to be half a season, whether it's going to be a full season. We don't know. But I do know the last quarterback taken first overall to sit, I do believe was Carson Palmer. Somebody let me know in the chat below if I'm wrong. I do believe Carson Palmer was the last quarterback taken first overall that sat. And how did that turn out? Didn't turn out good when we got him. Nebraska, those are fake fans. They changed the shirt from the Chiefs to the Raiders because of Mendoza. That's funny shit. Um, just pray every night on your knees, bro. Mendoza to start. Wait, but Rosetown, why do you want to throw him out there like that? Why do you want to throw this kid out to the fire like they did Aiden O'Connell, right? Aiden O'Connell was holding a clipboard, was the third quarterback on the roster, and they ended up starting him because Jimmy G and Brian Hoyer looked horrible in every games they played, right? Let's go with that scenario. Let's let the best quarterback win. If he's ready to play, let's play him. But if he's not ready, don't throw him out there and ruin his confidence and destroy this young man on a team that the offensive line is going to be trying to jail early, right? The receivers are going to be trying to find their way. Our defense is going to be trying to figure out their identity, who they are, right? There's no need for him to really start right away. They wanted the NFL should be 2 or 3 rounds, but Roger Goodell is a money making worm. I feel the same way, right? I think the first round is way too long, especially this year as a Raiders fan. It's going to be hard to watch the NFL draft in the first round on Thursday because once they say whoever the Raiders pick, you know, I'm only watching to see if the Raiders move back in. I have a feeling there's somebody that they have their eye on. There's a reason they wanted that 14th pick and were willing to trade Max Crosby. There's a reason John Spytek threw it out there that the Raiders could have 4 picks or they could have 12 to 15 picks by the time draft day comes. There's somebody that's on their board highly and they're hoping slips down in the draft. And that's the only reason why I'm watching day one, because after the first pick is done, like, I could care less really, other than seeing how my draft board did, but I could see that anytime. I don't have to sit and watch it for 4 hours. But yeah, they could speed it up a little bit, add day and two, at least second round. I think the first day should be first and second round. To me, that would be more fun. And it wouldn't leave everybody, dying with anxiety and anticipation, wondering Who the hell are we taking tomorrow? What are we doing tomorrow? Look what happened when Mahomes went to the Chiefs. Everyone became a fan. Um, that's not really what happened. The first year he sat, so not everybody was on the Mahomes train. It wasn't until he actually got in the game and started winning, and everybody was like, "Oh shit, we got a quarterback," right? Then everybody jumped on the Mahomes train. I feel like now last year with Shador Sanders, that's a little different. He wasn't even the starter; he was the fourth round, the fourth string quarterback, and then and his jerseys just went crazy, crazy. Spytek is going to be a top three GM in the league. Mark my words. I feel you, Rosetown. I'm definitely with you on that. We need Kubiak to live up to what to that head coach to that HC calling. Uh, yeah, but live up to what though? Live up to his father, right? This is his first year, so we do need him to be that guy we're expecting him to be. If that's what you mean, I agree 100%. But I don't have no huge expectations on Kubiak. I feel like he built this staff pretty quickly in a short amount of time. There might be guys that might not make it, the following year. But if they all make it, bro, I'm down 100%. They keep AOC because he's on a rookie contract. The dude next year will be gone. We'll see, man. We'll see. We'll see. Despite Tech trading down for more picks backfiring him, I think so. How? How so? How do you feel? How do you feel? Like, uh, I was trying to figure out how the draft went last year and who was on the board, but I think I have to go back and watch it because I don't think there's any sites that are going to tell me. I guess I can go back. I don't know. I don't know if I can see who was available, except for the people that were picked after them, right? So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. There were some people on the board last year that I felt like really could have helped us, but I believe Jack Bish is going to help us still. I feel like he's the dude is slept on, right? He's big, he's physical, he has a good catch radius, he has strong hands, he can win at the high point. You know, if we look at if we look at last year, I think he only had like less than 20 attempts and he had 200 almost 250 yards, right? Dante Thornton had way more attempts, way less yards. Trey Tucker had 40 more attempts, I do believe, than Jack Best, and only had a little over 300 more yards. So I believe Jack Best is slept on. I don't think it backfired. We got Charles Grant, who could definitely be a starting tackle in the NFL. Probably not this year unless they decide to move him to right and let him battle over there. But you got Charles Grant, who's the future behind Colton Miller. You have Caleb Rogers, who I believe should have been the starter all year last year. I think he was way ahead of Meredith and JPJ, to be honest, coming in as a rookie. He had a damn good, he was damn good at Texas Tech. So I like Caleb Rogers, man. I feel like if not, the first couple games of the season, he should have been the starter. It shouldn't have been as late as he was. So I think it worked out fine. They took a swing on Dante Thornton. I believe that was, like I keep saying, I believe that was a Pete Carroll type pick. Hopefully, hopefully he shows out this year. We should trade Max for a third round pick next year. That's crazy talk. That's crazy. We also need to get Geno Smith back. What are you talking about? Sonic Master, Mr. Pranks. All this off-season shit makes me want to start playing chess. Spytek's been playing chess all off-season, bro. All off-season. Yep, 4 days. 4 days. Actually, 5 days till everything. I think in 4 days, the obvious is Mendoza. If it's not Mendoza, oh, Brock Lesnar leaving his shit in the ring. He's done. I was talking the whole time and I missed this match. Let me get off here. Brock Lesnar leaving his boots and cleats in the ring. Um, Gino looked like a guy versus the Pats. Then boom, as he fell all the way off, Brady told him to stand the fuck down. We tanking. I don't think that was the scenario. I don't think if you just look at Gino, his footwork, his panicking, that sucks. Thank you, Brock. Thank you, Brock. Um, I don't think that was the case. I think Gino was just ass. We had a bad offensive line. We had no run game. We had no defense. The offense, was constantly on the field. They didn't get a chance to rest either because the other team's offense would come out and score in 5 plays. So it was bad, man. It was horribly bad. But I don't think they was ever intentionally tanking. If Gino plays well anytime soon, we know for sure Brady is calling the shots. That's facts. That's facts. I mean, we know for sure Brady's calling the shots, anyways, right? We all know Brady has a big say in everything that happens with the Raiders, whether he's in the building, whether he's not in the building. He has huge say on everything, man. Who's watching WrestleMania? Let me know in the comments. Y'all watching WrestleMania? But yeah, and also let me know, man. Who is your pick at 36? Who is your pick at 36? Is it a Denzel Boston? Right? Is it a defensive tackle and why? Let's do this mock draft real quick. On my way home from work to watch the rest of it. Nice. Nice. All right, let's go Raiders. 7 rounds. Slow so I can pass it. AI trades are on. Pick suggestions as well. I don't know if you've seen that super chat. Rebel just saying, showing love to the channel. Yeah, shout out for the $2 holler. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Appreciate you, appreciate you, appreciate you. All right, man. So what we're doing is we're gonna run this mock draft and see who ends up available. The Giants take Caleb Downs at number 5. Kansas City takes Monroe Freeling. I could see that at number 9. The Giants also take Carnell Tate at number 10. A lot of people already have that penciled in. Where do you think they should go? How do I pause this? Where can I pause it? Pause. Thank you, Lesnar. Oh, fuck. Did I just restart it? That was dumb. Oh, no, it's good. All right. How do I get to the damn board? You're stupid. I don't like A to Z1. Let me ask you something. Real talk. Can I? Sure, I guess. Missouri Explorers. Send the question. He'll respond as soon as he's done reading it. Yeah, go ahead. Ask away, man. Ask away. Would you want the Raiders to draft Taylor Green if they choose not to draft Mendoza? I mean, honestly, in my honest opinion, I would draft Taylor Green and say, to hell with Mendoza. I'm not gonna lie. Hey, if you can get him, if you could trade that first overall pick and move back, get some picks in this year's draft in the first or the second, I would take him all day, bro. I would take Taylor Green all day. I know he's an Arkansas boy. We talked about him a lot on this channel, but the young man has everything it takes to be a quarterback except for the mental aspect. And you can teach that, right? You can teach that. There's ways. I've said this a million times. You put on the virtual reality headset, you get there in the field, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, but these teams' practice facilities are so advanced now that they have a giant jumbo screen that's like 300 whatever 300-foot jumbo screen, and they have the team running the offense, and then they got a little practice field where the guys are on defense. So when they're changing the offensive plays, these guys are switching, right? If they're running plays, they're calling it out. This is this. This is this. They're so advanced now that you can teach a guy in the NFL because you have the time. They don't have to go to school. They don't have to, take tests. They're not doing all the shit they have to do in college, right? It's a job now. It's from the time they get up to the time they leave the building or whenever they feel like they should be leaving the building. They're working on one thing, football, right? If you're a defensive player, you're working on studying offenses and knowing what they're going to do and what routes they're going to run and where they're lined up, what play is coming. If you're on the offense, you're studying, you know, defense and what plays they're going to run. If you're a receiver, you're studying the corners and their footwork and their hips and where they're lined up. Are they turned to push you on the inside or they turn to push you on the outside? That's all you do. So with the right people, Taylor Green could be the greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you have the athleticism, you have crazy athleticism, you have speed galore for a quarterback, but you just got to be able to put it all together. You have a great arm, you have touch. He can layer the ball in there. He can throw a 3 ball, a 2 ball, 1 ball, right? Has all those. He can throw from any hash on the field to the other side of the field. There's nothing Taylor Green can't do except for figure out when not to throw the ball. And that's a big thing. But other than that, man, I think his age, being what, 25, 26, but the kid has 48 starts in college football, right? A lot of people said Bo Nix, and I'm not comparing him to Bo Nix because Bo Nix was a way better, accurate, more consistent quarterback. But the start wise, the intelligent, right? Tyler Shuck. A lot of people felt like, oh, Tyler Shuck's just a dual threat quarterback that can't throw the football. So they drafted him in what, the second round to the Saints, and the dude's the starter and probably the future for a while. So I'm big on Taylor Green, man. Not just because I'm an Arkansas fan, just because I know this kid's mentality. I know how hard he works. I know the team he had, right? The offense. I mean, if you watch him on Barstool Sports, Taylor Green was it said a lot about his cadence, right? How he changed plays, all that shit. It was dumbed down to where the kid really didn't have no say at changing plays at the line of scrimmage. All he did was send guys in motion to see if they were in zone or man. But you get to the NFL and you let him work on that shit, man. He's a surprise pick for anybody that gets him. And when you think about the fact that Anthony Richardson had 13 starts in college football, and they moved up to the third overall pick to draft that young man and gave up the capital they did. Now, some teams might be scared because they did that, and some teams aren't willing to do that. But I don't know how, if you're an NFL evaluator and you think you have a quarterback coach that could, make this guy a respectable pocket passer with his athletic traits, that you don't take a chance, right? I don't know how you don't. So To me, Taylor Green is the biggest sleeper and the biggest question mark in this draft. It's not if he can do it. I feel it's when, right? Can he get it together in a year? Is it going to take him 3 years in the NFL? And, he finally pops when he's 28, 29 years old. What do you get when you watch grown men butt tackling each other? Not a troll, just being serious. Well, I don't know if they're butt tackling each other because the butt tackle you would have to like be rubbing asses together. That kind of sounds weird. So I don't know. It's a sport with very talented, giant physical men trying to compete and win, bro. That's what I get out of it. I'm a football fan. I like the competitiveness. I've always been competitive. The aspect of trying to outcoach the other team. There's a lot of things that go into football. It's not just tackling. Dudes butt tackling or whatever you said, whatever shit you said. Um, that's the commandeering, the brotherhood, the sportsmanship. That's why most people watch football. Just my opinion, right? You watch for the big plays. You watch to see, guys doing shit that nobody's ever done. Breaking history, right? Making history. Crazy catches, crazy defensive plays. That's why I watch. I played it my whole life. Love the game. Can't get away from it. And if I can't play it, I'm gonna watch it and talk about it. So that's why I'm here. That's what I do. Um, but yeah. But yeah, man. From what I'm hearing is, I think a lot of people are gonna be upset when the Raiders don't take a defensive tackle in the second round. I really feel like they're gonna wait till the third, possibly the fourth. But I'm gonna give you some sleepers that they should be. Let's see this. Um, Man, this is dumb. But yeah, there's a dude, Arkansas Razorbacks. Now I know y'all know that's my team, and not being biased, I just know guys that can play. Right? I try to tell everybody last year about the guy that went to Detroit, was going to be surprising some people, was going to be making some plays, right? And Isaac Tesla, a guy that showed up and showed out. I've been saying my guy Dalton Wagner was going to make this damn roster, and once he got on the grass, he was going to surprise some people at right tackle. That hasn't panned out, but they have some dogs on a team that did not win a lot of games last year, right? They have Fernando Carmona, 6'5", 325. Yes, 6'5", 325 offensive guard. That I would love the Raiders to take a chance on in the third round, fourth round, wherever. I don't know where he's rated, but haven't looked at too many offensive linemen this year. So a guy that a lot of people are sleeping on. He was a key part of why Mike Washington was Mike Washington, right? A lot of those runs were behind Fernando Carmona. And then defensive tackle, right? There's a lot of talk about how the Raiders need a defensive tackle. I hear all this Caden Proctor shit and blah, 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 right? He was on Ohio. I mean, yeah, he was okay, but most of these guys, I think almost all the defensive tackles in this draft are, except for maybe one or two, are basically run stoppers. They're guys that, they get tackles for a loss. They can get through the A and B gap, and with their quickness and their long arms, and they can stop the run, right? But getting pressure on the quarterback, I don't see too many defensive tackles unless it's kind of later rounds, like third or fourth rounds, guys that have good get off. And I don't know why those guys aren't higher up in the draft, right? Because They're physical. They can get to the quarterback. They're quick. They have strong hands. But one of those guys to me is slept on is Cameron Ball. Cameron Ball, bro, 6'5", 323, defensive tackle. He was a captain. He played in the Senior Bowl. Go back and watch the Senior Bowl. I didn't think he flashed as much as I thought I would love to see him, in the Super Bowl or in the Senior Bowl. But Cameron Ball, bro, if you telling me the Raiders could get a Cam Ball in the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, wherever he just decides to fall, whatever that grade they have on him, if they do have a grade on him, but if they were not, I'd be very surprised. We all know that the Raiders seem to like Arkansas football players, right? They throughout the year they've drafted. It seems like every year there's at least one Razorback that they bring in. They draft RUDFA. Last year that guy was, what was it? The safety. God, I hate when shit fucking was right on the tip of my tongue. Anyways, they brought in the safety as a UDFA. Didn't make the squad. I was very, very surprised because I felt like he was definitely one of the best damn safeties that we've had in a long time. And, just a bad coaching, let guys go. Maybe they bring him back. I don't know. They should, anyways. But Cameron Ball, bro. Cameron Ball is a guy that can stop the run. He can play the 2-eye. He can play the 3 technique, the 4 technique. You can move him all around the offensive line or defensive line. He's a captain. He knows ball. He's gonna put guys in position to make plays. Right? He's gonna always out there yelling at guys, moving guys around. A leader on the defense, and he's a guy that for 6'5" and 323, man, he's physical as hell. And I would literally take him and develop him over taking a guy in the second round or the first round all day long at defensive tackle. So if you get a chance, go back and watch some Arkansas games. If you have, the all 22, go back, make sure you pay attention to Cameron Ball. Uh, just an all around good dude, right? A dude that didn't get in trouble in Arkansas. I've seen him do a bunch of YouTube podcasts. Maybe I should get him on mine. So, just one of those guys, right? So, if you have a chance, go pay attention, watch Cameron Ball, and let me know how you feel about him. But I feel like that's one of those dudes that can make this Raiders roster if they bring him in. I think he's definitely athletic for his size, got very physical, strong hands, can get to the quarterback, can stop the run, high motor, a dude that's not going to quit. And I feel like if you're going defensive tackle, take a chance on that, right? Because I want to see JJ Pegues, Tonka Hemingway, Jonah Laulu. I want to see these guys and what they have. I want to see a guy like Trevin May I actually get his chance to get on the field. But there's a couple more cats, right? Xavier Sori, linebacker. A lot of people have been sleeping on Xavier Sori as well. Had a 37 inch vertical. To get more on him. You know, 6'3", 231 pounds. Damn good in coverage. A guy that can get to the quarterback, for his size. He can get skinny, get through the gaps, get tackles for loss. But another guy that was just on a bad Arkansas defensive team. And I feel like the Arkansas Razorbacks were so bad last year that nobody really watched tape on these guys. Because if you're telling me Xavier Sori is a linebacker that's projected to go pick 200 or 207, you're just hiding me, bro. You just, I don't know what you smoking on, but it's that good, right? And no hate on that, but um Taylon Green off the charts and everything. Dude had a 11-2 broad jump as a damn running back. I mean, as a quarterback, had one of the fastest combine 40 times as a quarterback. 3.6, 3.7, whatever he ran. And I feel like the right system, bro. Somebody's gonna get a steal on Taylon Green. And this dude's going to get his opportunity and not look back just like he did in college football, right? There, they had KJ Jackson at Arkansas that we'll see this year if he makes the team, how good he is. And you're going to be like, damn, why was he sitting behind, Taylor Green? Because it's the upside for Taylor Green. The upside is there. And if he puts it all together, the man is frightening. So, yeah, watch out for Mike Washington, another guy that, if he falls to the third round somehow, I would love the Raiders to bring him in. I think that 1-2 punch with his speed, Ashton Genty's, bowling ball, low trajectory, contact balance, catching out of the backfield, him and Mike Washington would be a damn great pairing. Uh, and then Julian Neal, man. Julian Neal, a corner, had 11-2 broad jump, was first amongst corners. Not one of the fastest guys, but he has the length and the size, 6'2". Uh wait, fucking wrong button. Damn it, my bad. But yeah, Julian Neal is a guy that I had in my top 10, right? And a lot of people have slept on him. 6'2", 200 pounds, California kid, got long arms, big hands, strong, physical, damn good pass deflections, was a leader on the Arkansas, defense. A defense that was just poorly coached. I mean, they had some studs on there. You're looking at, like I said, Sorsby, Julian Neal, Cameron Ball, uh, the other safety they had. Oh, he left in the middle. But they had some dudes that transferred out. So just was all around just a bad coach defense. They gave up more points than I think in any. I think they were like 120 something in points given up, which is absolutely just nasty, nasty work. I think you are the one who is obsessed with candy. Who? Is this channel about the Raiders, not candy? Um, Faded Raider might be obsessed with candy. Actually, was in the chat earlier and asked you about her. So I told you what she said. Word. Why y'all fighting over candy? Trying to get some of that sweetness. This is the Raiders channel. If you want to know about candy, go to her channel. Don't be rude, Faded Raider. Damn. Don't be rude. Troy just likes candy. There's nothing wrong with that. And all the comments help, bro. So comment away, bro. Comment away, comment away. At least you're commenting. You can ask the same thing over and over again. I'm just kidding. But yeah, man. So watch out for those cats. Like I'm saying, Arkansas Razorbacks have some of those sleepers that people should be paying attention to. Also, safety Larry Worth, the third, Kanai Walker, another kid that, yo, I wouldn't mind the Raiders bringing in a Kanai Walker, bro. Kanai Walker was solid as hell for us. It was just rough. And then Corey Robinson, the second, another offensive lineman. So there's some kids, there's some kids on this Arkansas Razorback squad that a lot of people are sleeping on. Also, man, join us Tuesday at 1 o'clock. We have a guest coming on. We are going to talk the draft. We are going to talk football. We are going to talk Raiders. I brought this guest on because I like what he does on X. I like his evaluation on players and takes. And then talking to him today, I found out that he's actually kind of a Raider fan. So it'll be fun, man. It'll be fun. Just brought a whole new twist to it. I was mainly just gonna pick his brain about the draft, but now we get a little bit more insight on somebody else's take besides mine of where they feel the Raiders should possibly go with pick 36 with the third round pick in 67. Right? Should they trade back? Should they move up? So make sure y'all pull up Tuesday, 1 o'clock for my guy. I'll have the thumbnail and all that shit posted real quick. As soon as I get off here, I got to set all that up. And then after the draft, we have some things working with Vegas Sports today. I'm not sure. I messaged him today. So We'll get Vegas Sports Mike in today after the draft and talk a little ball. And then if everything works out with the guest, hopefully Tuesday, we will be bringing in, back on if you would like to talk about, a little bit more football projections, maybe get a little bit into next year's draft and guys you should be paying attention and watching to, but I'm not going to get them ahead of myself, right? So, if everything goes right, hopefully it's a guest that we can have on more frequently. And I think y'all would like it. I think y'all would like it. Very interesting takes on a lot of players. Has a different perspective of the top 100, top 50, right? But I like the way he scouts. I like the players he talks about. So yeah, we're gonna pull him up. We're gonna pick his brain. So make sure y'all pull up. Make sure y'all tell a friend to tell a friend that Tuesday 1 o'clock we fixing to play GM. GM. Hit those likes for Rebel, you guys. Yes, I'd appreciate it. Arnie Garza in the building. Question: Who will Mike Washington Jr. Um, how will Mike Washington Jr. look in our offense? He would look dynamic. Dynamic. If you look at if you look at what Kubiak's done over the years, everywhere he goes, the offense has a running game. They always have two backs, and we need that second back, right? Genty, with his whatever 4 or 5 speed, whatever it is, right, is that physical power, guy that can hopefully get us yardage in the middle, you know, in the A and B gaps, a guy that can run it outside, a guy that can catch outside, right, that can block, can do all those things. Mike Washington, had some fumbles issues at New Mexico, but he cleaned that up with the Hogs. I think he only put the ball on the ground one time last year. So, he's a guy that is A to B, north to south. You hand him the ball, he's going to make a cut and he's going to be gone, right? And I think that fits perfect, right? Ashton Genty is kind of that, put your foot in the dirt, make a decision and go also, but doesn't have the speed of Mike Washington. So Mike Washington could be that, breakaway speed guy. I think it fits perfect. Are the Raiders willing to give up a pick that high for a running back? I just don't think so. I really don't. But if they do, man, I would love it. Do I have it scheduled already? No, I do not. Like I said, I would be putting everything together. I'll be dropping the links and all that shit on all my pages very, very soon. Question: Who is your best late round prospect for the Raiders? Um, how late in the round? How late in the round? I would love to see him bring in an Xavier Sori, right? Like I said, 6'3", 200 pounds. Didn't run the fastest combine time, but it was a guy that. What? I know what I'm doing, bro. I know. I got it. I got it, bro. I got it. I got it. So late round prospects. I don't know how late you're talking. If you're talking like sixth or seventh round, there's a couple guys on my list, but that would have to be for a whole nother show because I would have to have my list in front of me. So, um, I don't know, man. If we're talking like late rounds, Cameron Ball, the defensive tackle for Arkansas. Uh, he had an 802 cone drill, which is amazing for that man's size. Jesus. So yeah, that some of these cats. There's some receivers like a Dazon Stribling that I feel like however this receiver class goes, right? A guy that you can pick up and make some noise. There's a lot of players, man. There's a lot of players. Rebel, who is your final prediction for the pick at 36? Trade up, trade down, or pick who? Well, Arnie Garza, I really have that gut feeling that the Raiders are going to make a splash and move up. I don't know why I have this feeling, but I think the guy that they really, really like is Max Ihenacore. And if that's their guy and they move up for him, I'm all here for it, man. I'm all here for it. I really don't see him moving up for a guy like David Boston. If he's there, I think they'll probably let the board, fall to them. But I feel like there's only maybe two guys that they're willing to move up for. One would be a corner that they have their eye on that they might have to take in the first round, depending on, what they're hearing. And from what I'm hearing, he's definitely going in the first round because there's teams that aren't going to pass on him, which is, Colton Hood, also Chris Johnson. I believe both of those guys could possibly end up going in the first somehow. And if that's the case, do you move up for one of those? You know, again, if Max Ian Archer is there, do you move up for that guy? I know he's very high on their board from what I'm hearing. So I don't know, Arnie Garza. I don't really have an answer for you this time, my guy. Sorry, I don't. It could go either way. It depends on how the board falls. If their guy seems to be dropping to them, then there's no reason to move up and waste capital or get rid of capital to go get your guy when he might fall in your lap like Brock Bowers did 2 years ago, right? So for me, I'm sticking and picking or I'm trading back. I'm team trade back. I've been team trade back since the offseason started, whether it's the number one pick, the number 36 pick, or even the 67th pick, man. The Raiders are sitting with the top four picks in every round. So, with that being the case, those picks are valuable. And if you feel like you can move back and get more guys with the same value of talent that you have on your board, I think John Spytek will do that. So, I don't feel the Raiders pick at 36. I feel they move up or they move back. Who is your favorite Laker of all time history? Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant. Magic Johnson, AC Green, Akeem Olajuwon. No, I mean Akeem Olajuwon, not Akeem Olajuwon. Uh, Old school dudes, right? Them old school dudes. But it's just like the Raiders, man. If you play for the Lakers, there's only a couple people that play for my teams that I just despise. Denzel, and he's overrated. Rip it and flip it. What's good, OG? You think Denzel Boston is overrated? Okay. McDaniels, Peters, or Banks? Who is you better for the Raiders? Um, I don't like any of them to be honest. Arnie Garza, because I feel like you're gonna have to take Caleb Banks, Caden McDonald, um, or Peters in the second round early at 36, and I would rather trade back. So I don't like any one of those dudes. I mean, to be honest, I just don't feel like there's a defensive tackle in this draft worth giving giving up a 36 or a first round pick for. Just my opinion from what I've seen on film. It's not really that deep when it comes to the defensive line, and I'd rather take my chances on some of the talent that you can see on film that they have upside. They're just not the biggest names like everybody wants. Like I said, like a Cameron Ball. I wouldn't mind that, but I wouldn't take any of those guys in the second. I just don't think defensive tackle that's going to be on the field maybe 30% of the time is a need that you have to take in the second round. I just don't feel like that. Does that Denzel Boston have any red flags? Didn't he have a dad? Didn't his dad have some issues? Denzel Boston, if you're talking about David Boston, I don't believe that's his father. And I don't think he has any issues. And I don't know why he's slipping down boards. I don't know. But I really feel like Denzel Boston is just gonna be one of those guys, right? He ran, you know, he's in the same speed as Puka Nakua, So if that says anything, I'm not comparing him to Puka, but he has the same speed, right? Kind of the same strong hands, a knack for getting open, for finding, finding the zone, beating people one on one with his physical traits. That's a long way to be hanging. Holy shit. So I haven't heard of any red flags from Denzel. I don't know. Rip it and flip it. Caleb Banks and Caden McDaniel are sold. Are solid. Can't read, bro. Prefer Caleb Banks. Why do you prefer Caleb Banks? I know it's the foot injury and all that, but are you really willing to take a guy in the second round at 36 and maybe have to go through the same shit as we went through with Tyree Wilson? Just not being that dude? I don't know. The real question is, which city will the Raiders move to next? That's not a real question. That's funny though. Too much money in Las Vegas, staying there forever. Facts, Arnie Garza. He hit that dead on the head. There is no reason to compare him to Nakua. His 40 time, his size. What you mean? Because of what? A little bit smaller. Come on, man. There's lots of reasons. There's all kinds of reasons, bro. There's all kinds of reasons. I'm just saying the style, my brother. The style. You got that Puka Nakua style. Strong hands, big body, not so fast, just damn good route runner, just knows football, knows how to find, knows how to get open. All that good shit, right? All that good shit. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But I'm kind of leaning, I'm kind of going, not really if you watch that game, bro. Go watch them run routes. It's pretty up there. It's pretty up there. But I'm kind of leaning to, I don't really think Denzel Boston becomes a Raider. Like I said, I'd be surprised if Denzel Boston makes it out of the first round. But if he does end up falling to 36, I still feel like the Raiders will pass on him for some reason. I feel like they have a plan. That's what I'm saying. They have a plan. I don't know what their big board is, but I feel like they like a lot of these wide receivers, like Ted Hurst, right? That Skylar Bell. A lot of these receivers, I feel they feel like they can get, later in the second round, maybe early third round, they could still get their receiver. So why take one in the second? It just doesn't make sense to me. Lawrence in the building. What's good, my guy? How's your Sunday going? But still, Denzel Boston's my guy, bro. I'm not going against it. I think that it just makes sense. It just makes sense. The Raiders, they got rid of, yes, they had Brock Bowers. Who's that guy? But they got rid of that hard hat, physical guy that can block, guy that can get open. You can put him in the slot. You can put him outside. He's physical. He's going to win the contested catches. And they lost Jacoby Myers that did all that, right? They tried to replace him with Jack Besh, and I think Jack Besh can replace him. But why not have two of those guys, right? Why not have two of those guys? If you can line Brock Bowers up and Jack Besh and a triple, and trips to the right or stack, come on, with a Trey Tucker in there or Jalen Naylor, that's just nasty, bro. And then you got to worry about the X on the other side being a Denzel Boston. I mean, that's an offense that you got to worry about, to me. Okay, by the way, guys, wait. Okay, by the way, guys, this interview is 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's 2 p.m. Eastern. I told you that already. Man, why do you doubt me? Can't believe you would doubt me like that. It got green as hell out here, bro. Just a couple days ago, it was brown. Completely. It was dead. Nothing was living. Nothing was making noises. So, who is who we taking? Is defensive tackle really that big of a need? I just feel like it's not, and I don't feel like there's any guys that really stand out to them. I could be wrong, but if there's as many people as me that are thinking defensive tackle is just not as big of a need with the guys we already have that we need to see what they got. And I don't think it's offensive line. Corner makes a lot of sense. Safety makes a lot of sense. It's been a long, long time, right? The last time we took a safety in the first round, I do believe, was John Abrams. The last time we took a safety in the second round was Trayvon Moreg, which turned out to be very, very good. And I feel like John Spytek has admitted he made a mistake letting guys go, and he needs to replace those guys, right? Because we had a safety of the future. I know he played strong safety and was better in the box, but we need that cover guy, right? We need that guy that can get hash to hash, that can, cover his quarter or his third or his half or whatever we're running, right? We need guys that can do that, and we don't have guys on the roster right now. Tristan McCollum is okay, but he's not a guy that I'm penciling in as a starter at free safety, right? Palomau, we all know is better in the box. He's just better chasing the quarterback, stopping the run, playing physical. So free safety is a huge, huge need. And I wouldn't be surprised if they trade that 36 pick to take a safety in that second round, right? That makes all the sense to me. Corner absolutely does too. If Chris Johnson falls there, I don't see how they don't take that young man. Really. I mean, his coverage grade, all that it's up there. So you need somebody, you know, that can replace Eric Stokes because Eric Stokes, I mean, we don't know, right? His career has been up and down. Last year was the first year that he's been solid, finished the whole season. So you got to have those guys behind him to develop. And I feel like you can never have too many corners in the building. You can never have too many safeties, right? Positions we've needed for a long time. I mean, since Marcus Epps left, we haven't had a free safety, right? A lot of people hated on Marcus Epps because he didn't create turnovers. But at least the defense was solid. They weren't throwing over the top, right? They weren't beating us. He might not have, turned the ball over a lot, but he was solid at stopping teams from just blowing us out of the water with deep passes. And since we've lost those guys, man, we've been searching to. I feel like we got the thumper in Jeremy Chin, we got the thumper in Palamau, and we need that guy that can go sideline to sideline. Whether it's Kamari Ramsey, whether it's a AJ Halsey, you know, whether it's McNeil Warren, right? I feel if those guys are on the board, and if McNeil Warren somehow falls to 36, I don't see how you pass on that. I really don't. I mean, if you're going best player available for need, McNeil Warren is definitely that, right? To me, but where is he at on the Raiders board? Are they looking at a guy like Bud Clark that could possibly, you know, fill that position in the later rounds? It's a lot of things can go a lot of different ways just because of where the Raiders are at in their draft. Now, if the Raiders were, you know, picking 15th and they were picking mid every single round, the chances of trading back are, a lot less. But when you're picking 36, when you're picking 67, which is four picks in, right? Four picks into the third round, and then you're picking high in the fourth round, like all those picks are valuable. So we have the assets to move back, to get guys if we want to. We have the picks that are valuable enough to move up, right? I think when you have a 67th overall and a 36, that easily gets you into the first round. Probably anywhere from 20 on, in my opinion, if they're willing to go that route. Hopefully Stokes can play healthy and Porter makes the stride. Yeah, I feel like Porter's gonna do that. I hope so, man. Not everyone knows which time you're in. Oh, appreciate you. Taking wide receiver and corner. I like that. Who is your team? What are you talking about? With Tonka and JJ Lalu, why do we need a defensive tackle? 100%, Lawrence. That's what I've been trying to, you know, brainwash everybody into thinking like, why, why? You have not, and you still have Thomas Booker, right? Who showed flashes last year. You still have Adam Butler, who's making a pretty decent bag. Not, the highest paid defensive tackle, but it's up there. What, almost 6 million a season, I think, or less than. He got 16 for what? 16 for 3 years. So, Adam Butler got to take that step. You also have guys on the practice squad that everybody keeps forgetting about, like Jafari Harvey. That's still on this roster. They didn't let him go. Nobody's picked him up. You still have guys like Trevion May, who I thought was a dude that definitely fit what the Raiders were trying to do last year. They picked him up. He's still here. So they take a next step this year. I just don't think defensive tackle is the position. And Johnson could be a solid piece for us. 100%, bro. He could be that lockdown dude. What was his stats? Hold on, I had his stats right here. All right, I don't have them. I have to look them up. Give me a minute. Um, thought I had him. So 2025, he had 36 solo tackles, 49 tackles totaled, 4 INTs, 9 pass deflections, and 1 forced fumble. In 2024, it is San Diego State, Chris Johnson, right? Make sure I got the right damn player. All right, yeah. 2024, he had 49 solo tackles, 67 total tackles, 1 interception, 4 pass deflections, and 3 forced fumbles. That's just, I could just stop there and be like, just draft him, just draft him. But 2023, he had 15 tackles, solo tackles, 30 total, 1 INT, 2 pass deflections, and a forced fumble through his career. 105 solo tackles, 152 total tackles, 6 interceptions, 15 pass deflections, and 5 forced fumbles. I hope that's right, but that's what Google says. He has also been a consistent contributor across all 4 seasons, totaling 687 career special team snaps. Got fluid hips. Anticipation is off the charts. Versatility to play both man and zone scheme. And there's a lot of people that I've seen that have him saying that if it wasn't for, um, wasn't it the injury the year before? I don't know, but a lot of people have him rated higher than most. I've seen some where he's the second or third corner in this draft, which if that's the case, you're not getting out of the first. But it's combine time. A 4.4 40, 38-inch vertical. All traits that show, you know, a lockdown corner in the NFL if healthy, right? Has the speed, has the length, has the size to be physical. I would say Chris Johnson would be that guy if he's there to me. I want more DBs, yes. And Johnson could be a solid piece for us as yes, facts. I got some other shit I was gonna talk about. I just gotta find it. What the fuck did I do with that? So yeah, man, I think that's where we're at. Almost 2 hours. The Raiders could go any way. The Giants, the Giants, the Cowboys, the Jets, the Browns, and the Rams have 10 picks in this draft. That's a third. A third of this draft will be picked by five teams. Five NFL teams will be picking a third of this draft. That is absolute crazy. And I feel like I said before, the Raiders were trading Max Crosby for a reason. There's somebody in this second round, I mean, in this first round, that they would love to have. And there's that possibility that maybe the only way to get him is to trade Fernando Mendoza. I just don't see that being the case. But I do see a scenario where if the price is right, if it doesn't cost too much, that they could slip into the first round and snatch up their guy, whether it's a corner, whether it's, an offensive tackle, maybe even an edge rusher, right? Maybe even an edge rusher. We don't know what's going on with Max Crosby. There's guys like Malachi Fields that some feel could fall to the second round. If he's there at 36, that's my pick. I'll take Malachi Fields at 36 all day long. I would even move up to go get a guy like that if it was 25, that's seven picks from 25 on. I believe that highly in that kid. So, I mean, Malachi Lawrence, the defensive end. And when you don't know what the deal is with Max Crosby, right? Shout out to Vinny T's. What's good? What's good? 1 month. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. So yeah, like I said, I don't even know what the hell I was saying. But yeah, I can see that scenario, man. I can really see that. And then safety. I've said this for the last couple lives, and now I hear other people talking about it, which is a great thing. That just, where great minds think alike, or they're listening to my shit. And either way, I'm good with that. So a lot of people are starting to say they feel like the Raiders are going to take two safeties in this draft. We kind of been on that train on this channel for the last couple months. It just makes sense. There's only three on the roster. We have one strong safety, Jeremy Chin. We have two free safeties in Tristan McCollum and Isaiah Palamau. And Isaiah Palamau isn't a free safety in my opinion. So the Raiders definitely need to fill that position, right? Linebacker. We have Cody Lindenberg, Tommy Eichenberg, the two guys we just brought in, and Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean. And we have Jamin Davis, former first round pick. That's five guys. Is that enough to go into camp? I don't feel like it is. So I wouldn't be surprised if they draft another linebacker, later in the rounds, or if a guy like Jake Golday happens to be there in the second, and falls out of the first round. That's a first round pick to me all day, and I don't see how the Raiders could pass on a first round linebacker fall into the second. So I would take a guy like Jake Golday, all day long. I think there's some other linebackers that they might look at, in the third, in the fourth. And if not, look for, a couple UDFAs at the linebacker position, probably some UDFAs at safety. More than likely some UDFAs at the tackle and edge position. But I wouldn't put it past the Raiders. Looking at this roster, Tyree Wilson on the last year of his contract, right? It's boom or bust for Tyree Wilson, and if he doesn't boom, it's busting out the door. So you got to replace that. Malcolm Kuntz, another 1 year deal. If Malcolm Kuntz doesn't show signs of being what he was 2 years ago, early in the season, I wouldn't be surprised if he's even on the team for the whole season. Like it's put up or shut up time for Malcolm Kuntz, and then you have Charles Snowden, who has shown flashes, has shown upside. What do you do with Charles Snowden? Right? Does he make a jump this year? And then you have Twitty Payne, another former first round pick that a lot of people felt like he wasn't asked to do you know shit to his strengths. He was asked to play in coverage and play off ball and do the things that aren't you know up to his strength level. And I've heard a lot of talk about Quiddy Payne in this defense could be, what he was looking for, and maybe he takes that next jump and shows he's a former, shows why he was a former first round pick. So I really feel like edge could definitely be, you know, a position that they look at that not a lot of people are talking about. Any chance Tyree Wilson could continue to play like the last game of the season against the Chiefs? That's a damn good question. Um, Fidel Torres. Good question, man. Good question. You know, I may be one of the only Raider fans that haven't completely given up on Tyree Wilson just because I feel like he's better on the defensive line with his hand in the dirt, right? He don't have to worry about, having that quick get off at the edge or playing that ghost nine position, right? Playing outside. And Tyree Wilson has shown that when Max Crosby isn't the guy, Tyree Wilson steps up. Every time Max Crosby has been out, Tyree Wilson has played better. So is it just the fact that he doesn't get on the field enough? You know, I don't know what it is with Tyree Wilson, but I feel like with Robbie Leonard being the defensive coach, this is, like I said, this is his last year. It's a contract year, and you got to show your worth and show that you're never going to live up to that first overall pick. I mean, to that first round pick, seventh overall. You're never going to live up to that, but you still got to live up to being a Raider, I feel like. And this is his last chance. So I hope he can play, like he does when Max Crosby's not in the game. Maybe they move him to the other side instead of putting him behind Crosby. Maybe they put him behind Crosby as his backup and Crosby plays less snaps, which I don't see that happening. But I'm hoping, man. I'm hoping Tyree can do something, not just for Tyree Wilson's sake, but for the Raiders' sake. Because if Tyree Wilson can show he can be that guy, you can sign him to a decent deal. But also, if he can show, take that next step in being that guy, maybe you have trade value to where you trade him mid-season if he's starting to, his first 3, 4, 5 games. They're like, damn, that's the Tyree Wilson that we thought they were getting in the NFL when they drafted him in the first round, right? Could he be that this year? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully, under Robbie Leonard's defense, Tyree Wilson could be that guy. And if anything, right, at least give us some trade value where we could get something for him instead of just having to let the dude walk after, you know, 4 years of 4 years of nothing, almost nothing. I hope your day is doing well. Shout out for the $2 holler. It's doing a lot better now. I hope your day is doing well as well. I can't believe the Bengals gave up their pick for Dexter Lawrence when they let their defensive end to the Ravens. I don't know what's going on with the Bengals organization. I really don't. If I'm the owner, I'm firing the GM, I'm firing the head coach, I'm firing everybody. I'm firing everybody. That's a mistake that you can't not make. And I've heard a lot of people saying, you know, the Bengals won. I don't know how the Bengals won this. The Giants get the 10th overall pick, and they're probably coming away with Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, or Jordan Tyson, and probably two of the three. Now maybe they go, you know, Monroe Freeling and take that left tackle to be the heir apparent, you know, book in for Jackson Dart at the tackle position, If I'm the Giants, I would be thinking Monroe Freeling or Francis Manoa. I would be thinking tackle, right? I want to protect my quarterback as much as possible if I'm the Giants. But yeah, I think the Lawrence. I think you're 100% right, man. It just doesn't make sense, bro. A 28-year-old man who has elbow issues, right? His stats last year were absolutely just not even there. Like there were no stats. Like I don't know what he did last year. So coming off of his worst year at 28 years old, you're gonna play this man, close to $30 million, whatever the contract is, $25 million to maybe get three, maybe if you're lucky, 4 good years out of him. When you can draft one of these star players at 10th overall, like a corner, like Jamon McCoy or any of these guys, bro. You could have took a corner, you could have took an edge rusher. You could take Peter Woods. I mean, there's one or two tackles in this, but a lot of people were saying at pick number 10 that they were in a kind of a shitty spot because all their position needs would already be taken at pick number 10. So you move back, trade back, bro. Like, I don't know. It just makes no sense to me. So I don't know who's running the Bengals organization, but I just don't see how you justify taking a 28-year-old player, paying him all that money for maybe 2 years, and he could be gone when you could draft a guy in the first round that you have a 5-year option on that could be a star day one. It makes no sense, bro. We need few for sure taking a safety. I see in the fourth round, and picking up some UDFA's. Did the Raiders bring back Devin White? Not as, um, not that I know of. He's still a free agent, I do believe. We got post June cuts too. Let's not forget. Yeah, post June cuts, but that's already once you get the 90-man roster in there and you see, who's gonna do what, who's showing signs, who's picking up the system the fastest, right? Who's got that motor, who's all in, who loves ball, who's bitching because it's hot outside and it's Vegas. There's a lot, man. There's a lot of questions. So yeah, I really feel like it comes down to me to safety in the second round, wide receiver, corner, unless a TJ Parker falls, a Malachi Lawrence falls, I wouldn't be surprised if they go and try to get their defensive end for the future. You don't know if Max Crosby is going to be here the whole year. You don't know if he's going to get hurt again, right? You have no idea. It's the last year of his guaranteed money. He's going to need another contract. So with all the Max Crosby, stuff going on and not knowing who's going to take his place or even who's going to be on the other side of him, I think you get an edge rusher in this draft. It don't have to be early, right? There's some guys in the fourth round that I think you could bring in and definitely make some noise. Um, you ready for Thursday? Man, I've been ready for Thursday for like the last 8 months. The last 8 months. Yeah, we'll be going over the cuts too. Mark Raider 32, what's going on, my guy? Appreciate you. That's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted either. Come on, man. Work. Yeah, let's try this. So here are some guys that the Raiders could potentially look at, right? We know Ruben Bain more than likely is gone in the first. We know David Bailey's gone in the first. But then you have Malachi Lawrence, right? At a UCF, explosive, who everybody took notice, when he came out in his combine and just squashed it. The biggest question mark is the level of competition he faced, of course. But we know his film's impressive, right? The athleticism's impressive. And it's hard to ignore that to me at any level. So if Malachi Lawrence is, a guy that falls to 33, 34, 35, 36, I would take him, right? Akeem Mesidor, another one of those guys, more than likely gone in the first. His age might deter some people, but I think he's definitely a first round pick. And I just don't see him making out of the first. But Cassius Howe, man, speedy edge rusher with Gumby style bend. I mean, the way he bends around tackles is just absolutely ridiculous. He has natural pass rush instincts, and I believe Cassius Howell is probably one of the most pure pass rushing threats probably in this class. You know, might struggle on early downs setting the edge, but with his speed and his athleticism, I don't think that's a problem. you know, we drafted Max Crosby in the fourth round, and I think a lot of people forget that Max Crosby wasn't a run stopper either. Max Crosby leads the league every year in tackles for loss because he worked on that shit, because he has that work ethic. He knew that was one of his major problems. Getting to the quarterback wasn't the issue, it was stopping the run, it was setting the edge. He still has a problem with setting the edge, but he's damn good at getting tackles for loss when they're running away from him. So, you know, not being able to set the edge or having natural run instincts is not really a problem. I don't believe. Like, it just depends on the character of the person. Are you willing to to put in that time to get better? What else we got? And then you have to look at the fact, that's it's kind of a weak draft class when it comes to quarterback, when it comes to running back, tight end. Um, I mean, offensive line. I think most of the offensive line depth is guys getting steals. Third, fourth round. I think a lot of teams are going to reach on a lot of the talent in the first round. I wouldn't be surprised if six tackles are taken in the first round and possibly two offensive guards. That's eight offensive linemen. That's just my opinion. And then you got guys like R. Mason Thomas. I mean, R. Mason Thomas out of Oklahoma, a guy that has a quick trigger. He has the burst, the upfield acceleration. A guy that's probably not a all three down right off the start, but Malcolm Kuntz hasn't really showed that he can set the edge or stop the run either, and he's got back to back 11 and $12 million contracts. So, a guy like R. Mason Thomas is a guy you could take a chance on. Um, Cedric Falk, right? Some people have him slipping. I still have him as a first round. A lot of people don't. So, um, Zion Young from Missouri is a guy that, I mean, I would pound the table for, and I would even possibly think of moving up really if it wasn't that far. I mean, for me, um, Josiah Joseph out of Tennessee, a guy that can set the edge, has natural pass rusher instincts, um, can be a disruptive presence, clear upside as a pass specialist, right? Romello Height is another guy that, man, if he falls to the third round, I would snatch him up at 36. We've talked about this a million times. Another guy that's doesn't really doesn't really do it for me in the run game, but could get to the damn quarterback. And then Michigan's Jashawn Barium, another guy. Derek Moore out of Michigan. Kean Crawford out of Auburn is a guy that I think you know a lot of people are sleeping on, bro. I think he should be higher than he is. Auburn had a solid defense last year, and Kean Crawford was a big part of it. Yeah, so like I said, I got productive edge rusher whose motor, length, and disruptive play give him huge development upside. As a rotational pass rusher, from a small school, means you always have that question, right? Of how you facing real talent? Can you do it in the NFL? But his tools are real, man. His tools are real. He has, the chop, the swim, all that shit that you need to mix it up in the NFL. And speaking of that, Cody Lindenberg, man, has anybody been watching the Cody Lindenberg workouts? Boy is out there, right? Just putting in work with his hands, getting his footwork right, getting his handwork right. And Cody Lindenberg, my guy, yes, that's a my guy, because a lot of people said, "Oh, Cody Lindenberg will never make this team, drafted too low," but he's still on there. And what he's doing in camp shows that he might be a dude that's getting on the field. We already seen him in special teams, but man, you working on that tool, that tool belt, putting more tools in the tool belt, so you're prepared for any situation. And Cody Lindenberg, I would not be surprised if he makes, if he makes a little bit of a statement this year if he gets on the field. I hope. I really hope. Who are your top five running backs coming out this year? Oh man, hold on. I gotta find my list. All right, so what we got here? I don't know about top five. Top five, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's Jeremiah Love's number one. That's easy. Um, I'm a little biased, so I I got Mike Washington number two. I really do. A lot of people are gonna bitch about that, but I watched him play every single game last year, and then I even went back and watched some of the was it New Mexico State or um, some of those games. And damn, was he on a team that had a whole bunch of players that just couldn't pan out. If they could have put those players together, New Mexico could have been nasty, bro. I think he was on Diego Pavia was on that team. Like they had some dogs. Anyways, Mike Washington, some people have him sixth, some people have him eighth, whatever. I got him second, and then after that, I don't know. It's kind of Emmett Johnson, Jonah Coleman. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a top five list, but those are my guys I like. Jeremiah Love won't be there. I'm not really huge on Jadarian Price out of Notre Dame. Some people say he's an elite return man. I agree with that. With exceptional vision and balance, I agree with that. But 203 pounds, I mean, that kind of scares me. So a lot of these guys kind of scare me. But I like Mike Washington. I like Jonah Coleman out of Washington. Powerful bowling ball, 5'9", 220, who I think has slept on. Very agile for his size. Kind of shifty for his size. I like Jonah Coleman. I would not be mad whatsoever if he was a pick for the Raiders. Emmett Johnson out of Nebraska, kind of like. But I like Jamari. Why is he not on my list? And Mike Singleton, man. You know, that it's not a deep running back class. But if you're talking fit for the Raiders and a backup for Ashton Genty, a guy that could just take the load off of him, I wouldn't be mad at a Damon Claiborne out of Wake Forest, man. I think he's should be in the top five if I had one. I just really didn't make a top 10 for running backs this year, and there wasn't too many in my top 100. It's just the way the players went. But I think Mike Singleton is one of those dudes. I mean, Nicholas Singleton at a Penn is one of those dudes that's being slept on, right? Katron Allen pretty much came up and took most of his snaps last year, but he's a guy that I believe was squatting like 400 pounds in high school, right? So big, strong legs, hard to take down, physical, quick enough where, um, is a guy you could line up. Nick, I think two back, two running back backfield with Nick Singleton and Ashton Genty. I think Jaden Ott out of Oklahoma. I liked him in the Senior Bowl, right? I thought he showed, a guy that can constantly just push for yardage, constantly moving his feet, dynamic, fast, can catch out of the backfield. I wouldn't mind a Jaden Ott out of Oklahoma. I think that would be a damn good fit for us. But somebody with some speed, man. Somebody with some speed like that. Jaden Ott, Le'Veon Moss out of Texas A&M, I wouldn't mind. Claiborne, I wouldn't mind. We can probably get most of these guys at a decent. But if you're asking me who I want to be a Raider, it's Himby. It's Himby. That is the man. That is the man I would love to have. He reminds me of that. Um, yeah, the Baltimore Ravens running back. I'm not gonna say his name, but he kind of reminds me that big physical guy that's just gonna get you yardage. I think he has good hands for his size, which the Baltimore guy does not have. You can catch, but not the greatest. So just a big physical back, man. I think that's the guy for us. I really do. I really do. He talked very highly of our future quarterback in Fernando Mendoza. And if you watch Indiana games, I think Himby was very overrated. I don't know what his stats were, but I think they were pretty damn good. Roman Himby had 230 carries for 1,120 yards rushing with seven touchdowns, averaging 4.9 yards per carry. This is the perfect back for Ashton Genty. Now, I know they brought in um, Caden Black, or what the hell's his name? Anyways, I know they brought in Black from Indiana, but like I said earlier, a lot of these teams, they can bring in guys to make it look like that's the guy they're going after. So these other teams don't know who they want, right? Because we talked about it at the beginning. A lot of these teams have guys that have to know what every team wants to do. So you can try to, outsmart these guys and get the guys you want, or have to move up, to get the guys you want if somebody else is going to take them, right? And I think Roman Himby is that guy for the Raiders, man. 4.9 yards a carry. You hand him the ball, he gets first downs, right? You don't have to worry about Ashton Genty getting hit in the backfield. This dude is way more physical, Um, Little bit bigger, I do believe, and would be a good fit, right? He knows Mendoza can help, can help Mendoza out, can take the pressure off of Ashton Genty, and he's a big play guy too, right? It's not like 7 touchdowns, 4.9 yards a carry is that's big to me. He set the he set a record in Old O'Kraken bucket game with 82-yard run touchdown against Purdue. I don't know about that. Was third team Big 12 honors. Yeah, I think Roman Himby is the guy that should be a Las Vegas Raider. If they draft anybody else, any other running back, it's totally uncivilized and a failure, in my opinion. If you hear the young man talk in his interviews, he's exactly what Spytech is looking for. Very intellectual, very smart, intelligent, loves football, loves the game, has had to work to get where he was. And when he got his opportunity in Indiana, he took it. And that's the kind of guys you want in the building, right? Guys that love ball, guys that want to do the work, that ain't scared to put in the work. And obviously, to me, Roman Himby is that guy. So if I had to take a running back, it's Himby. And Jeremy Heinrich says take Black or Himby. Yeah, I like that too. I wouldn't mind, I wouldn't mind Black either as well. Would you add wide receiver, nose tackle in the second? I don't feel like we need a wide receiver in the second, right? I feel like we have bigger needs. We need another linebacker. We need a safety. We need a corner. We could probably, we definitely need another tackle. I wouldn't mind taking a tackle. So to me, my biggest needs at 36 safety, corner, and tackle. We need a right tackle. We definitely need a safety, two safeties minimum. I think we have to walk out of here with, I'd be happy with a safety in the second if they feel there's one there that's value. And, do it again in the third. I would be happy with that. 36 and 67, both safeties, I'd be good with that too. So I think wide receiver talent is there's enough that we don't have to take one at 36 and nose tackle. I just don't know if that's as big as people are making it out to seem. If Boston's there, that's tough. Yeah, if Boston's there, that's tough. So if Cade McDonald was there, Boston was there, and Max E. Hennecore is there, there's 13 people in here. Who are you taking? Who are you taking? If Denzel Boston, Caden McDonald, and Max Ianacor is there at 36, who do you take? Who do you take? No wrong answers. Jeremy says if Boston was there, I'd say Boston, Boston Bowers, Genty Mendoza. I made a post on X. Could you imagine Denzel Boston, Jack Besh, and Dante Branch, and Zachariah Branch, the three Bs, the killer Bs? That would be a fun squad to watch. I think that would be a fun ass squad to watch. I'd be here for that all day. Wonder how deep of DT class there is. I've heard they can still get quality depth in the third round. I mean, yeah, there's guys like Xavier Harris. Here, let's go to that. I think that's the pick too. Like, if it's not, if it's not my Arkansas boy Cameron Ball, it's Xavier Harris for me. And I've done, a million mock drafts. I haven't posted many. I just do it, for my own convenience to kind of get a feel where, shit may go. Um, but in a lot of these mock drafts, right? They had Xavier Harris, the 6'8", 340-pound defensive tackle, whatever he is, right? A lot of people had him, rated in the 200s. Then he kind of moved up to the hundreds. But every time I've done a mock draft, I'm like, all right, well, this dude is in the 200s. I'll take him in the fourth round. He's always gone. So obviously, There's some talent in here that people are sleeping on at a lot of positions, but I just don't see defensive tackle being one of them ones. I mean, Cade McDonald, right? Damn good run stopper. Not a guy that's gonna give you a lot of pressure on your quarterback. A lot of people say we were horrible last year at stopping the run. I disagree with that. I think we were one of the best teams in the NFL at stopping the run. Most of our yards came in the third and fourth quarter when they were already up, 10, 15 points on us and they could just run the ball. It's hard to it's hard to have good run numbers when teams run the ball 45 times, against you in a game. That's unheard of numbers. Well, we had it happen a lot. So I think our run defense is not as bad as people think. You got Caden McDonald, you got Peter Woods, you got Caleb Banks with the injury. Zion Young is a guy that can play edge. You could probably put him at that, four technique and still probably win. Lee Hunter, like I said, is not. There's just something about Lee Hunter that I kind of get Christian Wilkins vibes. I don't know what it is, bro. I don't know. But that's just me. Y'all don't have to like it. And then Christian Miller, right? Christian Miller, 6'4", 321. Ran under a 540, which is a guy that shows quickness, has shows speed, has good get off. But more than likely, you're going to have to take him, probably in the second round. And then from there, you have Dominique Orange, which if if he's there in the third round, I feel like that's definitely the Raiders pick. I don't know how you pass on a Dominique Orange if he's there. He's a position of need. You're picking at 67. You probably just take him there. If you try to trade back, more than likely he's gone. I'd be surprised if he makes it to the third, but that's where a lot of people have him, projected in the third for Dominique Orange, big citrus. But I haven't heard anything from my little birdie saying, "Hey, watch out for this guy." The Raiders, a lot of talk. So if I don't hear that, usually there's probably not a lot of interest. But I could be wrong. And then you have Grayson Holton out of Oklahoma, right? A guy that's 6'3", 6'3", 292, quick, physical, right? Ran a killer 4.8 240 time. So, as a guy that can get sideline to sideline, can chase your quarterback and more than likely, be foot step for step with a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL. Grayson Holton is a guy you can get later rounds. Caden Curry, I see a lot of people picking this young man. I'm just not a big Caden Curry fan. I feel like the arm length might be a problem at the next level, but his speed and his size, I feel like is a guy that could definitely end up, on a Raiders roster. Caleb Proctor is a dude that I would love to have on this team that you can get. I mean, he's projected. I don't know where he's projected. Hold up. I know where I have him, but I don't know where they have him. A guy that plays the three tech, another guy that has damn good 40 time with a 4.79. He didn't run that, did he? I don't have to double check that. Well, yeah, decent tackling, great pass rush, solid run defense. And if we're going later rounds, I would really, in my opinion, I would wait for a guy like Caleb Proctor out of Southeast Illinois, Louisiana, right? Not a guy that a guy that everybody's going to question. He went to a small school, right? Louisiana. Does he have the? Can he be that guy at the next level? And I think yes, absolutely, 100%. So there are some guys, like I just said, and you know probably fourth round. The Raiders have a lot of fourth round picks. Why would you not take a guy like that? Hopefully Hunter falls to the third. LOL. Guy can dream. Hunter who? Oh, Lee Hunter? Why do you like Lee Hunter? Let me know, Jeremy. Kidder, what are you doing? Messing my shit up. I'm just not a Lee Hunter fan. I don't know. There's just I have this thing where there's certain players where I'm like, just gives me that no, and it's worked out for me so far. So I'm gonna keep going with that. Roscoe, what's good? What's good? Raiders, Lakers. I'm guessing Raiders are taking a wide receiver in the second round because they don't have a wide receiver one currently. Or do they? Or do they? Right? We don't know. We don't know if one of these guys can come out and be that guy like a Cedric Jackson who can put it all together in camp, right? In this system. Maybe he could be, you know, maybe he could be that JSN we need. I don't know. I'm not saying he's a JSN, but maybe that guy that we need. Maybe Jack Best could be that. We don't know. But I'm not, you know, the two biggest needs everybody says is wide receiver and defensive tackle, and I just have to question that. I just have to question that. I know we need a receiver, but if you look at Seattle, right? They didn't have an X receiver. They had JSN that played in the slot. He played in the X. He played in the Z. Shit, I think he was even, probably tight in a couple times. Dude, they ran him out of the backfield, right? JSN was everywhere. So do the Raiders in a system, in a Kubiak system, do you really need a number one X receiver, right? Sacktown in the building was good. Rhodes 100. Omar Cooper, top of the second. If he falls there, yes, absolutely, 100%, bro, 100%. But you would be a clown to let Steve Smith Sr. fall to the second round. Just saying. I don't think we'll trade back in the second round. Oh, I think we'll trade back in the second round. Yeah, it's looking that way, man. It's looking that way. Keep the Omar Cooper and Mendoza connection together. It would be nasty. I mean, if you look at teams that have done that, right? The Bengals, they kept that team together. They went and got his receiver. It makes sense, right? It makes sense to bring in a guy that your quarterback already has continuity with. It just makes all the sense in the world. But does it make sense to move up into the first round to get him? Because you're more than likely gonna have to. This guy sold my grandma ATV when after she said it was what? Who the fuck? What? Okay, bro. You don't know me, and I never sold an ATV to anybody. But yeah. Chris Johnson from Esteville, California. Cool. He's from my area, right? Cooper of Boston. I'm down with that too. The Giants killed it, bro. I would not be surprised if the Giants are one of those teams like the New England Patriots were last year. I mean, I would not be surprised whatsoever. The Giants made the best trade ever, and there's a reason that a lot of these teams were trying to get two first round picks, right? There's a lot of people that have guys in this draft rated way lower than they should be, in my opinion. And there's a lot of them, and you'll see Tuesday, right, with some guys that are projected to be in the first round that you're gonna be like, what? I hope you're right. It's been miserable. Sorry for the distraction. It's all good. Hello, Raiders mentioned. Do you think? Yeah, the Giants killed it, man. The Giants are looking at I believe it's Jordan Tyson. I believe it's Jordan Tyson. Shane Scowen, Jordan Tyson had dinner with him in Arizona, and the next day Dexter Lawrence is traded, and they have a top 10 pick. So, I mean, you just put all the tea leaves together, and it just adds up. The Giants are gonna destroy this draft, man. They're picking at 5. You can get a top guy there, whether it's Caleb Downs, whether it's your running back, if he's still there. I don't know why in the hell, if you're the Giants, you would pass on a guy like Jeremiah Love. You don't know what Scadaboo's injury is, right? I know they have another running back that was solid, but it's not Jeremiah Love. And if you're the Giants and you have a chance to land Jeremiah Love and Jordan Tyson in the same draft, holy shit, bro. Compared to pair up with Malik Neighbors, Jordan Tyson and Malik Neighbors will destroy the NFL. I'm telling you. If you get those two guys together, Jackson Dart is going to have a field day, bro. An absolute field day. It's Jordan Tyson. I would be very, very surprised if Jordan Tyson is not the pick at 10. If somebody doesn't take him before that. But yeah, the Giants, they're definitely walking away with Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, and Jordan Tyson. Two of those three. But if I was the Giants, I would really be looking at Monroe Freeling. I would really be looking at a guy like Max Iannacor to play that right side and protect your quarterback who wants to run and get hurt all the time. I'm a big Jackson Dart fan. I had him as my number one quarterback in this draft. I know Cam Ward was probably a little bit ahead, but just the dynamic, factor that he brings to the quarterback position. Y'all got something good over there. Y'all definitely got something good. Are the Jets taking a quarterback in the top pick? They always seem to f things up. If I'm the Jets, and this is just me, if I'm the Jets, I'm taking the best defensive edge rusher, whether that be Arvell Reese. You know, if I was the Jets, I would take Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs. And I don't want to hear that you don't take a linebacker that high, you don't take a safety that high. That's fine. People have their own opinion. But when you have the best talent in this draft at those two positions and they're a position of need, man, you pull the trigger. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets, I think more than likely they're gonna pick at number 2. They might trade back up or down at 16. I wouldn't be surprised. But if I'm the Jets, I'm looking at this offensive line and thinking, damn, you might need some offensive line help if you plan on playing Geno Smith. We've seen what he did with the Raiders in their offensive line. So the Jets might need some O line help, and there's 6 tackles that could go in the first round. And if they miss on one, that would be dumb. If I'm the Jets, I'm waiting next year to get a quarterback unless they really, really feel like Ty Simpson is that guy. Or if I'm the Jets, I would do the craziest shit ever. I would somehow trade back that 30, where are they at? 33, 34. I would trade back and I would grab Taylor Green in a second. I'm just telling you right now. Put him behind Geno Smith for a year, and probably halfway through the season, you just let him go. Because if you're telling me you're going to rock with Geno Smith as a Jets fan for the season, why not go with Taylor Green? He's more athletic. He can run the ball. He can jump over people. He's good in the pocket. His footwork has got better. I mean, you might have a steal right there. And then you have 2 picks in the first round next year that if Taylor Green doesn't show signs of promise for the Jets, you just go get your quarterback next year. Like, with all the picks they have, that would be a perfect scenario for me. Who the Dolphins taking at 11? I don't know. Who are the Dolphins taking at 11? Dolphins at 11. Let me see this board real quick. I would think a wide receiver. I mean, if I'm the Dolphins, I'm looking at Makai Lemon possibly on offensive tackle. I mean, they have a running back. They just got a quarterback. You have a defensive minded head coach. They give up a lot of points. Defense might be the way to go. What the hell's my board I just had up? But I feel like you just let go of Tyreek Hill, you let go of Jalen Waddle. To me, it just screams wide receiver. It just screams wide receiver. But let's see. What's this top 10? Hold on. I got a better answer than that. All right. So Mendoza first. I feel Arvell Reese is second. Sonny Styles. Bro, they could get lucky. The Dolphins could get lucky and have a Ruben Bain fall in their lap. They can have a Mensor Delane fall in their lap at 11. Dylan Thieneman wouldn't be bad for the Dolphins as well. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot. Spencer Fano, Monroe Freeling, if he doesn't get picked up in those first 11 picks, I would try to protect my quarterback and give him somebody to throw to if I'm a Dolphins fan. Thank you for sharing time with us, Rebel. Faded Raider, appreciate you for the $2 holler. And thank you and everybody else for rocking with your guy for 2 hours and 45 minutes. So for those of y'all that been in here the whole time, y'all are real ones, man. I appreciate it and love y'all to death. What kind of wide receiver at 30? At 30, if they pick there, I'm looking at um, Casey Concepcion if he's there. I would target a guy like Chris Bell. Probably not at 30. I mean, the Dolphins at 30 need to trade back for me, right? They're in a rebuild. They need as many assets they can get that fit the new coaching staff's style. And to me, if I'm the Dolphins, I'm trading out of that 30 spot. Now, if you're sitting at that 30 spot though, and you need a wide receiver, there could be a couple there, man. There could be a couple there. Yeah, I don't think I'd take a receiver at 30 if I'm the Dolphins. I'm trying to trade back for that spot. Depending on who they take at 11, if they don't go crazy and go with the Makai Lemon or something at 11, I would try to trade back because you could get Ted Hurst, a Skylar Bell, Zachariah Branch would definitely fit the Dolphins of old, right? Short, fast, speedy receivers. Why do the Falcons have two left-handed quarterbacks who are injury prone? That is a question I cannot answer. Bad coaching, bad GMs. You know, I mean, I don't know. The Tua thing to the Falcons makes sense though because you have Michael Penix, who's a left-handed quarterback. So you want a left-handed quarterback in the building, and it's not too often in the NFL that you have the luxury of having your backup being left-handed like your starting quarterback, right? There's not too many left-handed starting quarterbacks in the NFL. There's not too many left-handed quarterbacks in the NFL. So to be able to pair, your rookie with a veteran, whether he's injury prone or not, I think that helps Tua a lot. But man, if Max Ehenekor is there at 30, Denzel Boston is there at 30. If I'm, I think that's a perfect target for a Malik Willis as a Denzel Boston. That would make all the sense in the world right there. KC Concepcion would also. All right, man, we're coming up on 3 hours. I'm gonna get off here. I thank everybody that rocked with your guy this long. Hopefully, I mean not hopefully, but we will be on tomorrow. We will be on Tuesday for the interview with my guy Hank Knows Ball. So pull up, watch that. We have a lot more information about some of these draft guys. He is definitely way more into the college scout scene than I am. So we'll have a lot more information. So make sure y'all pull up Tuesday, 1 o'clock, and pick his brain. And that's what I got, man. So 4 days away, the Raiders will know who their number one pick is. Let me know in the comments if you watch this video afterwards who you would like to see at 36, whether it's trade up, trade back, stick and pick. Or would you like to see the Raiders trade the 36th pick up more assets, also trade the 67th pick and pick up more assets, and just build this roster like Spytech wants to? So let me know. Appreciate everybody for rocking with your guy. Shout out for the $2 HODL Faded Rated Raiders. Much love. I'm going to go watch the rest of this WrestleMania that I missed, but peace.